RBT family, what is the deal? It is your dog, Willie Jack, and we are back, baby. It's been a little minute, man, but we are back. We had an exciting week of boxing. Can't wait to get back in here, chop it up with y'all, man. Chop it up the fam and see what everybody's thoughts was on, like I said, what was a very exciting week of boxing action. Of course, headlined by the Tank Davis and Frank Martin fight that was just this Saturday. Oh, man, hold on, man. Shout out to my dog Black, man. He said he first went through the door, man. My dog Kendall Gilliard. What's the word, man? Hey, I seen them new weak ass helmets, dog. I seen them new weak ass helmets. I ain't gonna lie. I don't mind the purple helmets, but I don't like the bird. Like, I don't like the actual bird that's on the helmet. But ain't nothing harder than y'all black helmets anyway. But and matter of fact, are y'all gonna have all purple joints? I think y'all got some purples. I'm trying to think now. I think y'all got some purples, but ain't nothing harder than y'all all blacks. Let me see. Lamar MVP thrice. I ain't gonna lie, man. This last MVP for Lamar was, I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, I'm not mad he got it. I would have gave it to him as well, but it wasn't like a clear-cut dominant MVP style performance, honestly. Not like his first one. Not like his first one for sure. He said he need them mustard pants where, You talking about for y'all? The Ravens got purple, y'all got mustard pants? Boy, that sound nasty. The Ravens in mustard colored pants sounds disgusting. I can tell you that right now. I will tell you that right now, bruh. What do you say? We in the Super Bowl because if we don't run the ball with Derrick Henry, we done. I mean, yeah, I don't know what y'all had going on in that Chiefs division game for sure. Why y'all just kind of completely went away from running the ball, but I am curious to see what y'all backfield looks like. Well, for one, y'all got rid of Greg Roman and brought in but now I can't even think of Buddy name, but to revamp and kind of bring the passing game to the forefront anyway. And I liked the stuff I saw from Lamar this season, honestly, like how he developed as a passer. Like the offense around him, that receiving core still let him down, but I like the things that we saw from Lamar. But see, that's the thing that was in that divisional game against Kansas City. It was almost like he got too intentional about, like, almost like he was just dead set on just proving like, nah, I'm gonna beat Patrick Mahomes from the pocket, because there was running and scrambling lanes there for him as well. Like, I know they wasn't giving traditional handoffs, but it was he left a good 90 yards of scrambling. He left a good 90 rushing yards on the field in that game for sure. And then, of course, it doesn't help, saying goal line fumbles and everything else that went wrong. But he said mustard pants, purple jerseys, and gold numbers. Man, look, I tell you what, y'all can wear them when we play y'all. I think we play y'all week 11. We're on week 11. We'll break them in for you. Yeah, we're going to break them right on in for y'all. For sure. For sure. My dog in the building, bro. I appreciate you pulling up, dog. Hold on. What'd he say? Chargers became the Ravens 2.0. Harbaugh, Gus Johnson. Yeah, Mason, yeah. Jake. Yeah, no, and you know what? Well, they really did, for one, because the receiver room is weak. Like, Ladd McConkey, I think, was a little – he was solid, but honestly, I think Ladd McConkey was like my receiver 14 or 15 in my pre-draft rankings. But see, the thing was, like, all those guys were all pretty close, though. So, like, wide receivers 7 through 15 were all kind of really closely sorted there. But personally, I had Ladd at like 14. I much prefer Ricky Pearsall, who the 49ers took at the bottom of the first, which I thought was a little early, but I like Ricky Pearsall. But I like his game better than Ladd McConkey. But no, I like what they got going on. I didn't necessarily like Joe Alt, especially because they're gonna play him at right tackle. But especially with y'all going to run the ball, like I really thought J.C. Latham was gonna go there on the right side. But now I'm ready to see what J.K. Dobbins looks like, man, coming back. Hopefully he stays healthy. I was a big J.K. Dobbins dude coming out. I'm not gonna lie. And I'll tell you how big of a J.K. Dobbins fan I was coming out. He was in the same draft with. Was he in the same draft with Saquon? I want to say I'm pretty. Either he was in the same draft with Saquon. Remind me. Somebody tell me. I want to say J.K. Dobbins was in the same. Whatever draft J.K. Dobbins was in, I think I had J.K. Dobbins as my number one running back. I really liked him at Ohio State, but I tend to like those one cut downhill, you know what I'm saying, style of runners. Like I liked the kid from Florida State this year better than Jonathan Brooks from Texas because of that. Like I like that explosive one cut, put my foot in the ground, get upfield, run with good power, and so I tend to lean towards that type of back. So I really was a big J.K. Dobbins fan, man. I hate to see how he got injured, but I do think he's gonna get off if he stays healthy. I think he can get off in this new Chargers offense. I am curious to see what Harbaugh ball looks like this time around. Hey, you a smart man. You a smart man. I'm not gonna lie, bro. We slept. Well, we slept on every year, but we definitely pretty slept on, man. I think Russell Wilson was uninspiring last year. I think it's a little overblown. People talk about he's washed or he was trash. It was just a bad coaching and schematic fit for him since he's been in Denver. But I mean, that's just like anything. You know what I'm saying? Like Odell Beckham didn't look like Odell when he was in Cleveland playing with Baker. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of talk about Odell being washed and those type of things then, but then he goes to LA and is probably going to be the MVP of that Super Bowl before he tears his knee on the turf. And so a lot of times, like, it's not as easy as Madden just moving the pieces around and just it should work because his name is this and his name is that. But like, nah, man, all that stuff matters for sure. But nah, man, I ain't gonna lie, especially the defense still doing what we do. All we need is stability at that quarterback position, and yeah, we in there. Yeah, I end up finishing with Malik as my number one receiver. Yeah, I end up finishing with Malik Neighbors over Marvin Harrison. And honestly, man, he just had a different gear. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like when I hear and Marvin Harrison Jr. is B plus at absolutely everything. You know what I'm saying? But I can't necessarily say if he had an A plus in anything, just in my opinion. Like, I don't think he high points the ball as well as Rome Odunze. You know what I mean? I don't think his hands are better than Rome Odunze's. He's a very good route runner for sure, and especially to be that size. And so he's got those easy AJ Green comparisons. I loved AJ Green. You know what I'm saying? I absolutely loved AJ Green for sure. So that's a big compliment in my book. And so he does have those style of comparisons, but I don't necessarily like Marvin Harrison Jr. as I don't think if we just line him up at X and tell him to go, he's got good speed because that's what the knock on him was, or the question about him was his speed. But then they say, well, they pull the miles per hour data when he's opened up and they say, well, he's touched 22, 23 miles an hour. I'm like, well, yeah, after a bit of a runway, but when I just see him line up in press or bump and try to get on top of guys, I don't think he stacks corners. He doesn't get on top of corners and stack them as well as, I don't think he did that as well as Rome Odunze. Honestly, you know what I'm saying? But now I prefer him. I think overall, I think he's a better player than Rome Odunze, but I think the gap between Marvin Harrison and Rome Odunze coming in was a lot closer than what was being made seem. And honestly, I thought that I think for me, Malik was definitely the number one guy. Like I said, man, he's just got another gear. There's a part of his game that just Marvin Harrison just doesn't have. Marvin Harrison doesn't have that. I'm gonna throw you the ball 3 yards from the line of scrimmage, and this may be an 80-yard touchdown. Like, he doesn't have like game changing or game breaking ability, and Malik does. You know what I'm saying? But they both are inside out versatile. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Marvin's just a dead set, lock him in at X outside all day long receiver. I definitely think he's more Z. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You'll move him around, that type of thing. Who else in this thing, man? D-Dot in the building, man. Hey, he know what's going on, man. The nation in the building, man. You know what's going on, big dog. Come on, man. You know what's going on. You know what's going on. Yeah, man, we got a little AFC North football talk going on right now too, D-Dot, man. Go ahead and get real comfortable, dog. He said, no fifth year on Najee. And you know what, man? I don't think that necessarily means we not going to – I think it still is in the plan to maybe re-sign him to let's say like a like a 2 or 3 year extension. Because another thing about Najee is he's an older back. He was a 5-year college guy anyway, and at the running back position. So he's already like what 26. I think he's going to be he's either 26 now and he'll turn 27, or he might have already just turned. He's like 26, 27. So he's already an older back, even though he's relatively a young player. He's still at the end of his first contract. But honestly, the number for the 5th year on running backs, it isn't crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's what, 7 million? I think the 5th year number on running backs is like 6.8. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was like 6.8 for 1 year for the 5th year option for a running back. And I don't hate that number. And especially seeing, you know what I'm saying, some Chris McCaffrey just got re-upped for another 2 at like 16 or 17 per. Saquon still found a way to go get 12, I think another 12 or 13 from Philly. Josh Jacobs got a 1 year, $12 or $13 million deal with the Packers. So there's still, you know what I'm saying, like decent running back money going around. And so 1 year at 6.7. So let's just round it up and call it 1 year at 7 mil. And then especially if you still do some style of extension off the back of that, I don't think that we necessarily had to avoid that option. But I think you know what? And you just beat me to it. That's what I was gonna say as well, man. Warren has showed a lot for sure, but he's also the change of pace guy that comes in and kind of, I mean, he runs with good power and he's like a little bowling ball out there, but he is still. There was a point in our season where it did get really loud to push for Warren starting over Najee, and honestly there was a stretch of, I want to say like two games for sure. That the second Cincinnati game and another game where like Jaylen Warren got, I don't know if he ever I'm going to pre-pause this. I don't know if he ever out-touched Najee Harris in the game as far as total touches, but he definitely got, and especially like earlier on in like these 2 games I'm thinking of where we did kind of lean more on him as a kind of testing period or kind of filling him out to see if, okay, can he be the lead guy? And he started putting the ball on the ground. Honestly, Jaylen Warren had a stretch of like 2, maybe even 3 games where when we kind of went more to him, he started putting the ball on the ground. Honestly, that Cincinnati game is one that jumps out for sure because that was also the same play that got Deontay Johnson traded to the Panthers, where he pouted on the field and damn near let Cincinnati run a fumble return back when we was in the red zone. And you know what, Black? Man, I was a big Keon Coleman fan as well. But the longer I stayed in the process, the lower and lower it felt like he kept falling, man, in my rankings. At one point, for the longest I had him at as my receiver 5. Like my top 4, once I got like my first kind of good look through or run through from these guys, it was Malik, Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, and Brian Thomas Jr. I went back and forth with them at 3 and 4 before I settled on Rome at 3. And then I had Keon as number 5. And so Keon was number 5 for me for like 80% of draft season. But then towards the end of the process, I ended up going with A.D. Mitchell at 5. And then I had Keon at 6 for a while. And then I think when it was all said and done, I ended up dropping Keon, I think, to maybe 7 or 8. I want to say. But yeah, I started feeding into like his lack of speed and lack of separation. I started feeding that a little bit. And then like I started going back through, and I don't think his hands were as consistent as I wanted them to be. Like I thought I wanted him to give me more stability or consistency as a vertical high point specialist, like Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze specialist with the ball in the air, bro. Like if it's just he's not a super athlete, but yeah, you throw them 50-50 goal balls up for Rome Odunze, boy. He's got some DeAndre Hopkins in him with the ball in the air. He's got some Dez Bryant in him with the ball in the air, honestly. You know what I mean? Like he's really got some of that. And I wanted to see more of that in Keon Coleman, but Keon Coleman's got less of that, and he's got more Anquan Bolden in him from a standpoint of he may be better as a big slot as opposed to an actual X on the outside. And he's got a lot more kind of wiggle to him, I think, than he gets credit for. You know what I'm saying? Once the ball's in his hands, he's a big guy, but he's got a little wiggle or a little juice with the ball in his hand, in my opinion. But I definitely like Keon Coleman. I still thought I thought Buffalo was going to take him in the bottom of the first, and then they actually end up still getting him, but they trade back into the second, pick up some picks, etc., and they get him in the top of the second. But he was the guy that I had, one of the guys I had kind of touted for Buffalo, so that ended up working out. Isaiah in this thing, man, long time, big dog. He said, yeah, he said he don't like Keon Tate, but he didn't like AD's attitude. And so yeah, AD Mitchell for me, I was hot and cold on AD, man. And you said, okay, you say you taking AD over Keon. And so I finished with AD over Keon, but I was just telling Black, like for the longest, I had it the other way around. I had Keon 5, AD Mitchell 6. Because AD Mitchell, just like you said, man, it feels like running that 4-3 did much more for Keon. I don't know which one was more like influential, when AD ran 4-3 or when Keon ran 4-6, because both of their stocks changed drastically from kind of the way they were perceived before then. Like nobody, if you watched the film and you looked at these things, nobody necessarily expected Keon to be a speed demon, but you wanted to see him get in there around 4.55. Instead, he came in somewhere around like 4.65, 4.67 or something, if I'm not mistaken. Or 4.64, somewhere closer to 4.65. And so that is theoretically speaking, that's a red flag. Jerry Rice was a 4.6 guy. I mean, there's been guys that have ran that speed that have been ultra successful in the league. So that, that's not necessarily the end all be all, but Jerry Rice, of course, being a crazy outlier guy to name, but just for reference. AD Mitchell running 4.3 was a shock. Like, not to say he was slow, but like I feel like there's, I don't know, man. I didn't see that 4.3 when I watched that Texas tape. You know what I mean? I didn't like his route running. Everybody praised AD Mitchell as a route runner. I thought he looked lazy. Like AD Mitchell tape to me was, a lot of times I described it as lazy or inconsistent or lacking effort. I didn't see the 4.3 on the field that I saw him run at the combine. You know what I'm saying? But he still does have, like, he's got very good hands though. I got to give him that. He's got very good hands. He can go up and high point the ball. And so, I mean, it was AD Mitchell for me, man, was one of those boom or bust guys. Like, he's a guy, like, I don't know if he's going to, well, I don't necessarily think his game was so much Martavis Bryant. I think that's more Brian Thomas Jr. But, like, I don't know if AD Mitchell's going to be, let's say, not even a Josh Gordon, because I think he's more nuanced than a Josh Gordon was. But I'm trying to find a good comp for him. I can't remember who I actually comped him to when I was going through the draft process. But yeah, AD Mitchell was the guy, one of the guys that kind of scared me in this process, especially if he was going to go in the first. I thought there was a chance he could go in the bottom of the first because we had those teams that we knew needed receivers. Kansas City was the bottom of the first, Buffalo, San Francisco, Detroit. Detroit was a sleeper receiver team, in my opinion, as well. And so all those teams were in the last 5 picks. And so that's why I thought Keon and AD Mitchell had chances to go there. But they both end up going in the second. Now, getting AD Mitchell in the middle of the second, now I love that pick. Like, I love him at that value. When Indianapolis getting AD Mitchell at like pick 14 in the second round, now that's great value. So now if you're telling me I can get AD Mitchell midway through the second, I'll sign up for that all day long. But I was uneasy taking him, as viewing him as like a top 25 pick, though. That's what was making me nervous. Let me see. Black said AD Mitchell is Dwayne Bowe. Ooh, no. Dwayne Bowe wasn't as he didn't have the speed. He didn't have the speed, and I think his game lends more. I think Keon Coleman might be a better comp for Dwayne Bowe than AD Mitchell, in my opinion, because Dwayne Bowe had an air of physicality to his game as well that I think Keon has. I think Dwayne Bowe has something to offer with the ball in his hands. He wasn't like an ultra shifty dude, but he was a solid built dude. I think Dwayne Bowe was like 6'2", 215, 218, something. He was a pretty thick built, like solid built receiver. You know what I'm saying? But I think he did offer something with the ball in his hand as far as being a power runner with the ball in his hand as a receiver. You know what I'm saying? Like, the first DB may not bring him down. You know what I mean? And he may dead leg you and get, he might find a way to get an extra 6 or 7 yards after the catch. You know what I'm saying? And so I think Keon, man, Dwayne Bowe, that's a name I ain't heard in a while too, Black. That's a good pull. That's a good pull, Black. I ain't heard that name in a minute, boy. I haven't heard that name in a minute. What Isaiah say, man? He said, being a Texans fan, he doesn't run routes hard. See, yeah, exactly. See, yeah, those are the things that I was seeing, man. That's why I was so hot and cold on him. Cause and another thing too, cause like when he's I don't know if it's I don't even want to say turned up or motivated or whatever, but like he's a guy like I think he's temperamental. Maybe that's what it is. I think he's one of those guys, and sometimes that goes with the position when you talk to receivers. Like sometimes, man, some guys, if you're not getting the ball, they kind of get checked out or they get frustrated. And then, you know what I'm saying, they might, you know what I'm saying, look how AD Mitchell looks like he does sometimes on film. But then he's also a guy that when we playing the best in the world, when we playing top competition, when we playing Alabama and we need one, man, give me the ball, dog, and he'll go make a play. You know what I'm saying? So he's so hot and cold at boom or bust, man. That's why he scared me so much. But again, if I got him at pick 14 in the second round, hell yeah. I'll take that all day long, twice on Sundays. For sure, for sure. For sure, for sure. Dwayne Bowe, boy, that's a good pull, Black. Shout out to LSU. Yeah, man, I remember Dwayne Bowe, Kansas City's I don't necessarily. No, you know what? As far as receivers go in the history of the Chiefs, you gotta call Dwayne Bowe Kansas City great. If we talking all-time Chiefs receivers outside of Tyreek Hill, I think we gotta put Dwayne Bowe in that conversation. All-time Chiefs receivers. Now I'm just thinking on top of my head. I mean, what? Eddie Kennison, whoever that, you know what I'm saying? That I don't want to disrespect him, but yeah, man. I mean, I think Dwayne Bowe he's probably an all-time Kansas City receiver, bro. Those Kansas City, yeah, there we go. Hey, yeah, Black knows what's going on, man. Yeah, he definitely Kansas City lit. Dwayne Bowe had some solid years at Kansas City, man. He definitely did. A lot of these Chiefs fans today, they don't even know Dwayne Bowe, man. I mean, I know Chiefs fans has been fans for less than 4.5 years, man. It's a lot of these Chiefs fans that don't even remember Elvis Gerback, man. They don't know them years, dog. Come on, man. They don't know about all that. See, Andre Rison, I ain't gonna call him kid because Andre Rison is a Falcons great. See, Andre Rison made his name with the Falcons. I think of Andre Rison as a Falcon instead of a Chief, and so that's why I didn't necessarily include him. Dante Hall is interesting. He's interesting but see, he was more of a returner, a return specialist, and so he's almost kind of that Devin Hester. Like, what do you call him? Do we call Devin Hester a receiver, or do we call him a DB? He probably played just as much DB as he played receiver, and so Dante Hall, I don't know if he ever. Well, I guess you know what? If we build in an all-time Chiefs receiver roster, then yeah, we got to pull Dante Hall in there. Tyreek, Dante Hall, and Dwayne Bowe. Because I think Andre Rison is gonna be if we doing like all-time kind of players like that. Andre Rison has a better chance to be a Falcons all-time receiver. You know, he probably is. Him, Roddy White, Julio Jones. You know what I'm saying? So they probably the all-time Falcons receivers. Black said we had him. You talking about Rison or Hall? Andre Rison played for Baltimore? No. And Dante Hall, I know Dante Hall, after he went to Kansas City, he got traded to the Rams from Kansas City, which was wild. But I don't remember him playing with the Ravens either, Dante Hall. Which one? Let's see. Black said, honest opinion on Tez Walker. Had he not been fighting anything, he would have been. And see, this is what's interesting about Tez Walker. I thought I was gonna like his tape better than I did, but he really is just a one-trick pony. Just vertical speed, just vertical outside speed. And so he doesn't have any, in my opinion, I didn't think he had any real nuance to his game as far as playing position. I didn't think some of this stuff could be their offense or what they ask him to do, but I didn't see anything as far as route running. He ran 2 routes at North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? He ran 2 routes in North Carolina. And so that's why I don't necessarily think. No, not really. He's probably a guy. I hate how the NCAA played him, especially with how loose the transfer rules are. Like I was like, okay, well, why they go so hard on him as loose as all this transfer stuff is? And so it was kind of whack that they did that. You know what I mean? And so he missed like the first 3 or 4 games of that season. So he might have had a better statistical year, but as far as his development as a receiver, I don't necessarily think he'd have got any better as far as developing. And so maybe not. Because I think he ended up going in the. Did he go in the fourth round or the fifth round? I think I had him as a day 2 guy, but I think I had him as a. I think I had him going as like a late 4 to 5 guys where I had him. But honestly, in my receiver rankings, I think I had him like receiver like 22, something somewhere around there. Because I had him behind guys like Javon Baker from UCF, Jamari Thrash from Louisville, who I love, Malik Washington. Man, Malik Washington was the steal of this draft. I was saying it for months. I thought he was going to go in the 3rd round and be a steal. Malik Washington goes to the Dolphins, I think, in the 6th round. I don't know if there's a better pick in this draft I like than Malik Washington going in the 6th. And I love Jamari Thrash as well. He went to the Browns, unfortunately. Man, they don't know. They don't know, Black. They don't know. And those guys are borderline Hall of Famers, man. They don't know about Willie Rofe and Will Shields, man. They don't know about that left side of that Chiefs line. Was that the left side or was that the right side? It might have been the right side of that Chiefs line. The Chiefs had a monster line back then, boy. They really did. When Priest Holmes was going crazy, then LJ came in, Larry Johnson came in going crazy. Yeah, man, Willie Rofe and Will Shields was the truth. They don't know. They don't know, Black. They don't know nobody before Andy. They barely know Alex Smith. Come on, man. They barely know Alex Smith, Black. They don't know that. They don't know that, man. Nah, see, Malachi Corley, I didn't like. See, Malachi Corley, nah. I think he's a running back. I think Malachi Corley is Cordero Patterson. He's a smaller Cordero Patterson, bro. That's what I thought. Because he's a problem when you put the ball in his hands for sure. But, man, he reminds me of Cordero Patterson. Cordell Patterson was 6'2", 220, and was a returner. They played him at receiver when he's coming for Tennessee. Crazy athlete, great with the ball in his hands. But he didn't really pop or couldn't really get on the field outside of returning until he got moved to running back, and then he got off. Like Malachi Corley fits that Cordell Patterson mold to me. I think Malik Washington is the guy that people think Malik or Malachi Corley is. That's who Malik Washington is. He actually plays receiver. He actually runs real routes. And he's a demon with the ball in his hands. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's who Malik Washington is, bro. I'm telling you. Like, Malachi Corley, bro, man, yeah, we got to give him 6-yard handoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, run 3 yards, turn around, let's give you the ball, and then let's put some people in front of you, tunnel screens, or, you know what I'm saying, or just get you in space. But I didn't see any style of understanding of route running or just spacing. I don't know, man. I wasn't a big Malachi Corley guy. I can't lie to you. Yeah, Jamal Charles, man, is an interesting character too, man. He was injured a lot, but yeah, he had a good run in Kansas City. Now, here's a question for you, Black. While we talking Chiefs, take your pick, man. Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, Jamal Charles. Out of that bunch, man, how do you rank them? Or anybody in here, man, for that fact, if you follow Kansas City. How do y'all rank them, man? If y'all was building y'all team, man, how do y'all go? Priest Holmes, Larry Johnson, Jamal Charles. Hold on. What do you say? Stop sleeping on the Browns receiver room. No, I really like Jamari Thrash, man. I thought we could have got Jamari Thrash, my Steelers. Jamari Thrash is Deontay Johnson 2.0. Man, Jamari Thrash is a top 3 route runner in this class coming in. Boy, cold, man. And I like his hands. He's not overly physical, of course, but he's a, you know what I'm saying? He's a slick guy. He's Deontay Johnson. Like, really, he really gets busy, especially in the intermediate. Man, you ain't got a chance. One-on-one, there's no chance with Jamari Thrash. Then, of course, they still got Amari Cooper, who kind of gets forgotten about a little bit. We forget how good he really is. And so, no, I'm not mad at the Browns, man. I'm curious to see how long it takes Jamari Thrash to kind of crack that lineup, or just, you know what I'm saying, how his usage is going to go. Jerry Jeudy, for me, I don't necessarily know what to expect from Jerry Jeudy. Underachieved for sure. I don't necessarily want to call him a bust, because I think we use that bust stuff too loosely. No, I got you. Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy. I like Elijah Moore. Malik Washington has a little Elijah Moore in his game as well. Like, I compared Malik Washington to Elijah Moore and Jarvis Landry. And it's funny that those are the two guys. I think his game was a mesh of both of their kind of games, in my opinion. But yeah, Judy, I'm curious to see what happens with Jerry Jeudy, man, to see if he's able to kind of reclaim his career. I wasn't as big of a Jerry Jeudy guy coming in. Like I preferred Justin Jefferson to Jerry Jeudy when they was coming in. Me and Chop used to debate this all the time because Chop was a Jerry Jeudy guy, and yeah, nah, man, I was a Justin Jefferson guy when they were coming in together in that draft. What did he say? They didn't? No, hell no. He under like the Broncos situation wasn't the best. It wasn't clean. Sean Payton and Russell never got on the same page, and before that, Nathaniel Hackett probably shouldn't have been a head coach now in hindsight, and he couldn't recreate the magic they had in Green Bay. And so there was some issues with that scheme and getting the right coach in place. But man, we can't front like Jerry Jeudy just, man, there was, I don't know, man, something just ain't click for him. His hands was inconsistent. Like there is something to say about the situation and the coaching and you know, Russ not fitting in there as well. So there is a good point there, but he also put the church's money on the floor, bro. There's also a lot of times where, man, he put the ball on the ground, man. He said he prefers them to get Flacco back. You talk about the Broncos? No, Flacco went to the Colts. Flacco went to the Colts. He said Cortland Sutton is like this era's Marcus Colston. Man, you know what? I think Cortland Sutton is a little, dare I say, he's a tad underrated. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's slightly underrated because people are kind of, I don't know, man. I think, well, Marcus Colston in that Saints offense, I liked Marcus Colston back then. I think he was also more kind of a big slot than he was an outside receiver. Because you don't forget, they had Devery Henderson, like the kind of a little more undersized, but he was the speed guy on the outside. And Marcus Colston was more of that kind of big slot, and he didn't really do much after the catch. You know what I'm saying? 8 yards, catch it, turn around. You know what I'm saying? And the first guy's probably going to get him. And you know what I'm saying? Unless he can overpower him. Cortland Sutton, I think, does play more on the outside. I still think Cortland Sutton was supposed to be a Cowboy. Cortland Sutton, the Cowboys chose Gallup over Sutton because Sutton went to SMU, and there's tea leaves that he might be getting drafted by Dallas. And I think they still should have did it, but instead they went with what's Gallup's name, man? They just released him, or yeah, they cut him, and I think he got picked up by the Raiders. Not Marcus Gallup. Damn. I can't think, but I remember in that draft, I thought Cortland Sutton was going to the Cowboys, and instead they went with Gallup. Michael Gallup. Yeah, I'm tripping. Michael Gallup. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Hey, Black don't talking about, yeah, Devery Henderson. Yeah, he was the dude on the outside. Yeah, outside him and Marcus Colston. Yeah, so he was the kind of speed threat. He said he used to get him every you seen on Madden. Hey, you had to. Yeah, Michael Gallup. Exactly. Yeah, you had to. Especially. Now, that's the secret. That's the key. For y'all that don't know, if you play Madden, the key to building your Madden roster in franchise, man, get those mid-tier speed receivers because they go crazy in your franchise. For sure. For sure. Man, Black, man. Hey, man, Black got... hold on, wait. One more thing, though, Black. Hey, you see that the AFC North going to be on Hard Knocks? Or, yeah, it's Hard Knocks, yeah. They doing the in-season Hard Knocks now, and the AFC North is the division they doing this year. Did you see that? They blew it going for Robert. I forgot about Robert Meacham from Tennessee, if I remember right. I think Robert Meacham played at Tennessee. Yeah, I did forget about Tennessee a little bit. Yeah. And that's what I was saying too, because I think week one of that AFC North Hard Knocks, I think the week they showing up, because I think they supposed to be in Pittsburgh, like, or at least what I was seeing on like Pittsburgh blogs, is that they're going to start in Pittsburgh on like December 3rd. And I think that's the week we play y'all, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be crazy. The quarterback one was cool. Like, honestly, I don't know how Marcus Mariota got selected for that. And then the Kirk Cousins stuff was actually interesting a little bit because just seeing his process behind the scene, you know what I'm saying? So it was kind of cool, but he didn't have much personality. This receiver one going to be hard, though. I definitely can't wait to see Justin Jefferson. You know what I'm saying? See what Jetta's got going on. See, I can't wait. I do think this receiver one's going to be hard for sure. For sure. Yeah, man. Hold on, let me make sure I didn't miss nobody in the chat, man. Who all in this thing, man? Holla at your dog. Holla at your dog for sure. Let me see. Oh, I missed that earlier when you said that, Black. But no, I did. Rasheen Ali, nice. Yeah, Rasheen Ali is nice. But like I said, with Henry being there, and then not Kenyon Mitchell Keaton. What's the speed back y'all had that started going crazy for 3 games before he got injured? That running back room is deep, man. So I don't know honestly if Rasheen Ali is gonna get any style of burn, and especially with this being kind of like a all or nothing year for Derrick Henry. Because is it just a 1-year deal? Keaton Mitchell, that's his name, yeah. So you got Derrick Henry, Keaton Mitchell. So I don't really expect Rasheen Ali to get much of any burn, honestly, unless barring some style of injury. But I think Rasheen Ali from I remember watching his college team was they wore green. Was it Tulane? I liked Keaton Mitchell, or not Keaton. I liked Rasheen Ali when I looked at him. Ooh, hell yeah. They definitely got to get a DB one. That's a fact. Nah, I tell you who they need. No, they need Sauce, Jalen Ramsey. They need Jair Alexander from Green Bay. He's a nut. Like, watch him in interviews. Just anytime he gets a chance to talk, dude is, he's a character. He's a personality for sure. Jair Alexander got to be in there if they do a DB one. For sure. And then you know what? Then probably like Patrick Surtain Jr. You know what I mean? So you got 2 young guys, and then Jalen Ramsey and Jair Alexander be like the 2 kind of more veteran guys. For real, Black. Hey, they need to holler at us, dog. Hey, we can executive produce it. Look how we just put that together off the muscle. Okay, yeah, team. That's what I was thinking. So it's gonna be a one and done. So I don't expect y'all to spare no thought about Derrick Henry's legs this season. I think Derrick Henry gonna have to turn down a handoff. You feel me? Like, that's what I'm thinking. He gonna have to turn a handoff down. But also, man, Lamar got up to what, like 225, but now he's back down to like 205. And so because that makes me think, he got up to 225 and he was more dedicated to staying in the pocket. He still ran for 800 yards, you know what I'm saying? But he was more dedicated to staying in the pocket for sure. So he can take more hits, take more punishment in the pocket. So now he's back down to 205. So now it's like, okay, Derrick Henry, he got back to 205 to get his speed back where he wants it. So this is almost making me think, you know what I'm saying? We're going to get some more. We might get a closer version of like the 2021 LJ or 2020 LJ. Or no, wait. What was the MVP LJ? He just won in 23. Was it 2021? Or no, 2020? Whatever that one was. 2019, maybe 2019 LJ. Let me see if they do a linebacker one. Roquan, Fred, Bobby, and Deion Jones. Deion Jones? Man, Deion Jones. Is he even, man, when's the last time Deion Jones started? You talking about Deion Jones used to play for got drafted by the Falcons? If they do a linebacker one, yeah, Roquan and Fred. I can see Roquan and Fred for sure. But man, no, they gotta have Patrick Queen. They would have to have Patrick Queen because it's a little, you know what I'm saying? It's a little friction because Patrick Queen be getting into it with the Ravens fans on like Twitter and online and all of that. And so, yeah, man. I can see Bobby because he's an old school, you know what I'm saying? He's the old school kind of elder statesman these days. You know what I'm saying? But oh, okay, yeah, to do with the Saints. There you go. Yeah, Demario Davis and did I even say his name right? Demario Davis. Now I'm blanking. I want to say Demario Davis. I think I'm getting his last name wrong. Damn, that's now I feel bad. See, look, black man, I thought I got on here to talk boxing. Now you got me now I'm transitioning into football, and now my memory's off. Yeah, but Buddy from the Saints code, man. He's been underrated for a long time too. Demario something. I'm gonna have to look it up in a second, man. Demario something. Damn. Okay. Yeah. Man, hold on, man. Look. Pause. Time out. Did anybody in here see the Tank Davis fight, man? This is supposed to be a boxing show this evening. Did anybody see the Tank Davis fight? Let me see. Left round. Pick up, yeah. No, and you know what? Before we got him, like that, like, and honestly, and like no BS, no BS, like, and I can be honest about it, like before he came to Pittsburgh, like this season, because PQ, he definitely had his best season. And so when me and Chop was, you know what I'm saying, on Lit the Film when we was talking, like that's one of the things that I had said during the season. And this even dating back from even, you know what I'm saying, the year before, like Roquan Smith being there definitely did wonders for Patrick Queen's game for sure. But the thing about it is that we be forgetting, Black, is Patrick Queen, when he came in from LSU, bro, he was like 19. Or no, I think he was 20. Because he's on his second contract now as a first round pick, and he's 24 as a first round draft pick. On his second contract, he's just now 24. I think he was 19 his last season at LSU, and I think he turned 20 like during the draft or after the draft, or maybe he turned 20 and y'all like OTAs or something like that. He's a super young dude. And so I think that had a lot to do with it as well. He's a young ass player, boy. He's 24 on his second contract. For sure. For sure. You say you watched the fight, but boxing's not fair. You gotta elaborate. What you mean? Boxing's not fair. Boxing's not fair. I'm trying to think what happened. It wasn't a crazy decision and then like that. The boy knocked him out. As far as Tank Davis and Frank Martin, as far as that's concerned. Well, tell me your thoughts. Tell me your thoughts on the fight, man. Get back to that. Boxing's not fair. Well, boxing's. Ooh. He said Tank, Canelo, or Bud won't lose. Are you saying they won't lose because it's in boxing's interest to make sure they win? Like, are you saying something like that? Or are you saying like they're so much better than their peers that they, you know, quote unquote, like can't be beat? Like, you gotta let me know where you're going with that. Let me know where you're going with that. That's an interesting statement. It's an interesting statement. He said Tank, Canelo, and Bud won't lose. I think let me see. Ooh. Oh yeah, we can get spicy. He said it's easy for Tank because they're killing themselves to get to him. That's interesting. The weight draining allegations, or not even allegations, but the narrative around Tank weight draining some of his opponents. So now I don't feel that way against Tank. He definitely weight drained Ryan Garcia. That's a fact. He definitely weight drained Ryan Garcia. Like, we can't deny that. We can't hide from that because I think Ryan was already basically at 140, and then they did the catch weight at 136. So the catch weight was 1 pound above the 35 limit. You know what I mean? Which isn't much of a catch. I mean, you know, he weight drained Ryan Garcia for sure. He also weight drained Mario Barrios in their fight. So he fought Mario Barrios. Was that at 40? I think this is right before Mario Barrios went to welterweight at 147. He was fighting at 140. And I think that was a catch weight fight as well, even though it was considered a junior welterweight fight. But I think there was a weight stipulation, if I remember right, in the Mario Barrios fight. Outside of that, I don't feel he weight trained. I don't feel he weight drained Frank Martin, because Frank Martin was already campaigning at 135 on his own. So I don't feel like he weight drained Frank Martin. He definitely did Ryan Garcia though. He definitely did. Said Canelo is the A side as well, power in his court. Only Benevidez punching value matching his. No, Canelo definitely he definitely has the most like power in the sport as far as kind of like dictating terms and kind of even more so kind of controlling networks. You know what I'm saying? And so he definitely has that. Like he took that position over from Floyd. You know what I mean? Who took that position over from, let's say, like the guy before that really kind of just really dominated and could sway and move the national meter of the whole landscape of the sport, like like 90s Tyson. You know what I'm saying? Like that had that type of power and influence. Yeah, right. 90s Tyson. Then we got Money Mayweather, not Pretty Boy. Pretty Boy didn't have that. Pretty Boy was in the shadow of guys like Roy Jones Jr. and Oscar De La Hoya and Sugar Shane Mosley. You know what I mean? These were the guys. Felix Trinidad. You know what I'm saying? Like Pretty Boy wasn't necessarily looked at in the same way that those guys were at that time. And then, of course, then Money came around and changed boxing forever. Oh, he said he didn't weight drain on this. I thought he was talking about the weight drain. Well, I thought he was talking about weight draining because that's a narrative that's going around as far as like Tank weight draining his opponents, you know what I'm saying, in some of these fights. So that's a thing that's being discussed. A lot of people are discussing it, a lot of people feeling that way. And people was even saying that about Frank Martin because the boy did look sick, you know what I'm saying, on the day of the weigh-in. But that's not on Tank though. You know what I mean? Like Frank was already campaigning as a 135-pound fighter. So like he didn't, drop weight classes or do anything extra to necessarily get the fight with Tank. Not the way that Ryan Garcia did. And so, but no, people was that's been a real thing. Ryan is natural 150, 150. Well, 154 would be the class. I mean, he probably is. I mean, well, Ryan Garcia has been in the national limelight since he was like 16. You know what I'm saying? So like he's only like what 20, 25 now, and I've been hearing about Ryan Garcia for 10 years, literally. You know what I'm saying? And so now he's definitely grown and mature. He looks to be. I mean, 54 is probably too heavy still. I mean, I think 47, like he's a welterweight. I think he's a welterweight for sure. But yeah, because I mean that Tank Davis fight was it was a huge fight, big money fight. So I'm not mad about him taking the fight, but the weight stipulation that Tank put in that one, I don't know, man. That's why I don't feel as great about Tank beating Ryan. I don't like that one. Doesn't have he didn't get as much of a strike from me on that because of like Ryan Garcia being at such a disadvantage with the weight constrictions, and he was injured. He had a bruised rib that, of course, Tank knew about, and he admitted he knew about it, and then he stops him with a body shot on a broken rib. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't necessarily give him the like that victory. It's a good victory. It's a quality win. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Garcia's got a name, but it didn't necessarily do for me what it did for a lot of other people, that victory. And then that's why when I hear Tank talking now about, man, we could rematch at 140, and he's talking all this like yin yang a little bit about, yeah, man, I'll fight him at 140. Well, that's cool. Well, you could have fought him at 140 the first time, big dog. Don't tell me you weren't worried about it. Don't say you're not worried about it. Like, well, why was you worried about it 9 months ago or whenever? Why'd you fight him at 140 the first time if that's how you felt? You know what I'm saying? Like that felt weak. I hated that, man. I hated that. That felt weak to me. But hey man, my dog D Will in the building, man. Hold on, man. He said, no fight can ever make an excuse. We all know the risk of a weight cut when we sign a contract. Hey, that's a fact. That's a fact, man. You sign your name, you sign up for everything you get into. That's a fact. That's a fact, Derek. He said, healthy or unhealthy cut, we have to deal with what comes. Took a fight against an All-American wrestler on short notice. Had to lose 36 pounds in 3 weeks. Boy, you crazy as hell. And 36, my God. Jesus. Woo! Shout out to my dog D Will, man. But he makes a good point, man. He makes a good point. Nobody forces anybody's hand. You know what I'm saying? Like some guys. Now, here's the only thing I will say to that, Derek, because you make a good point. Everybody's a grown man. Everybody knows what's on the line. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? Everything's on the table, and you got to choose whether or not to sign that deal. So you make a good point there. But also keep in mind as well, sometimes, man, it'd be life-changing opportunities. It'd be life-changing money. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes, yeah, theoretically, you could say no, and then now this may be the one or only shot you get. Like Frank Martin turned down that Shakur Stevenson fight. You know what I'm saying? And then let's say if he'd have turned down, well, that's not necessarily a good example for me because he is a 135 pounder, but just let's say if he was a 140 pounder. You know what I'm saying? Like this could have been like his one and only shot. Like he may not have another shot to get on this type of platform, to make this type of money, and to change the overall trajectory of his career and his family's future. And so sometimes, man, you do kind of get backed into a corner. Like, yeah, you can say no, but you know, sometimes the circumstances, man, kind of force your hand a little bit. But Derek makes a good point, man. Everybody grown, man. Everybody grown. You got to make the best decision for yourself. OJ in the building, man. He said, "What's going on, man? What's happening, bro?" And then Black said, "Yes." He said they signed the contract. I mean, it's true. It is. But the only thing I'll say as well is, like, yeah, that's true. Like, I put out these stipulations, but do I have to put the stipulation out? Like, if I'm not worried about Ryan Garcia, do I have to make him drain the 36? Why not just fight him at 40 then? You know what I'm saying? Like, do I have to do that as well? And so he's using his leverage on his side, you know what I'm saying? Putting the guy forcing the guy to make, you know, a decision that probably is not an optimal decision. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the same time, it's just kind of like Black was saying, like Kendall was saying a minute ago, like the guys who run the sport, the guys at the top, like that's the ability they have. You know what I'm saying? They put themselves in position to be able to dictate. And so you can't necessarily be mad at it, but at the same time, like I ain't got to give you that full strike though, man. I can't give Tank that full strike for that Ryan Garcia win. I just can't do it. It don't sit right in my spirit, dog. You know what I mean? I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to beat him at his best, dog. You know what I'm saying? Beat him at his best. OJ, what's happening, man? Hold on, I think I see my dog. My dog Chop in the building, man. What's going on, man? He said Ryan don't want no smoke. Hey, no, I'll tell you what, man. Ryan is a real life lame, man. I've said this before. He just is, bro. But I can't knock him because he got in the ring with guys that he got in the ring and took some of these fights that guys haven't done. He got in the ring with Tank. You know what I'm saying? Even though he had to drain and get down to 136, he took the fight though. He took the fight and he got in the ring. He took that Devin Haney fight. And like, yeah, Devin Haney, man, is so like disrespected, man. And I get it because his pops and even his, you know what I'm saying, he's not necessarily charismatic. He doesn't have flashy power. He doesn't necessarily have the flashy speed, but you know, whatever it is. But people don't really fool with Devin Haney, but that's a difficult fight. Like guys didn't want to take that fight. Shakur Stevenson turned down that Devin Haney fight, regardless of what he said. And I love Shakur Stevenson. I'm a big Shakur Stevenson fan for sure. Like I've been one of the guys, it's not many of us, but for a couple years now, I've said that I think Shakur Stevenson is the guy. If any of those young kind of four kings or whatever people call them, if anybody was going to beat Tank, my money was going to be on Shakur Stevenson. But I hated that De Los Santos performance for sure, like we all did. But I've had my money on Shakur in that fight. But I'm not gonna say Ryan don't want no smoke because, like I say, he's got in the ring with some heavy hitters, man. He's got in the ring with some heavy hitters for sure. So I can't knock him. He got in the ring with Tank. He got in the ring with Devin. Who else? No, he didn't fight Pitbull. They was talking about, but he didn't fight Pitbull. AJ, man, AJ Pat, what's the word, man? What's going on, bro? What's happening, man? What's the word? Oh, let me catch up with some of these comments as well. No, exactly. Yeah, I see now what you're saying, Black, as far as like using your leverage when you got it. No, and you're right. Like I said, they all do it. Like I said, so Canelo, Ali, Floyd, Roy, Like all these guys, like when you put yourself in a position to be the A side, the unquestionable A side, you know what I'm saying? Like you can make it tough on the other guy for sure. No, so Ryan was always going to be the A side against Devin. So I don't think Ryan was made into an A side from Tank. So the thing about Ryan Garcia is like his name for Ryan Garcia's he's been a bigger name in boxing than his resume would probably warrant. But Ryan has been a highly visible and recognizable like name in boxing for like I said, like roughly 10 years. So Tank, we know Tank from roughly 5 years. You know what I'm saying? When Floyd really put him on. I mean, I know whatever's going on with them now, beefing and whatever, but it cannot be questioned at all that Tank is here standing on the shoulders of Floyd Mayweather. That's a fact. Like that's a fact. Like he's talented, he's skilled, he's great. You know what I'm saying? He's putting himself in position to enter all-time talks or lists. You know what I mean? He's right there. You know what I'm saying? He's deserving of all of that. He's a very skilled and talented guy. But he got here on the shoulders of Floyd Mayweather. It has to be said. Ryan Garcia was already an A-side fighter before then. Even though he hadn't accomplished it, he also didn't have any major names under his belt or whatever the case, but he was a pop star. He's boxing's youngest pop star. So he was already an A-side fighter. Like Ryan Garcia, if Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis would have fought 4 years ago, Ryan would have been the A-side. And you know what? I'm trying to think, man, what the splits was on that Tank Davis fight, because I'm not so sure that Ryan Garcia didn't get the bigger part of the pie in that Tank Davis fight. That might have been like 55-45 for Ryan. I might have to look that up. Or if somebody's able to, man, see if somebody wouldn't mind finding out what was the split on the Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis fight. Because Ryan still may have got the bigger slice of pie. It may have been 50-50, or it might have been it damn well could have been 60-40 Ryan. Like Ryan's got a massive following, and he's had a massive following for longer than a lot of these guys we're talking about right now. Wrong, or otherwise, that's the facts though for sure. Yeah, okay. Derek Kane said as we can't turn exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you sign up for it and you put yourself in the hole, but man, it'd be lifetime. It'd be them lifetime lifestyle changing opportunities, bro. You gotta do it. He said he wants to see Frank fight Garcia now, or Frank fight someone like Pitbull. Ooh, I don't necessarily want to see. I don't think I necessarily need to see Frank and Ryan. Well, I guess here's the question as well. I want to know what Frank's gonna do. Like, is Frank gonna stay at 35 or is he gonna go to 40? Because he's been at 35 on his own. And honestly, I hadn't been aware of Frank having any issues making 35 until this fight. Like it had never came up as an issue, him making 35. So this is the first time I feel like it feels like we've seen him kind of struggle with the weight. And so now, does he need to go to 40? If he goes to 40, then, I mean, Ryan Garcia really can't even make 40. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ryan Garcia couldn't make 40 for the Devin Haney fight. Like, I really think Ryan Garcia, he's a welterweight. His body is a welterweight, but now I don't think necessarily he's got damn good power in that left hand, but I don't think necessarily his power is going to be the same at 47. So Ryan Garcia is really kind of in no man's land. But now Frank and Pitbull, I think that's interesting, Derek. I think that's interesting because Frank showed us he's got excellent foot. I mean, he's everything we already knew about Frank going into this fight. Terrific athlete. He's got fantastic mobility, foot speed. He's got pretty decent hand speed as well. I don't know, man. I think Pitbull, the things that went wrong for Frank in this Tank fight, I think Pitbull also does some of these things as far as applying constant pressure, cutting the ring off. Tank Davis did a phenomenal job all night long of cutting the ring off for Frank. You know what I mean? Like, it was masterful stuff as far as just watching him cut the ring off and just force him into these corners And then, especially once we got to rounds like 4, 5, and 6, when he started letting his hands go in the corners. I think for me, and we'll get more into the breakdown of the actual fight. We are in. What's up? What's happening? We are in, y'all, but we're going to get into it. But when I actually went through and watched the fight and scored it and broke it down, I felt like Tank didn't really let his hands go until, he didn't really start to kind of let his hands go till round 3. But let me see. What did he say? Ryan Garcia and Earl Spence? Nah, man, I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that, Black. Well, another thing too, Earl is also at 154. Like Ryan Garcia is in limbo between 140 and 147, but Earl is definitely at 154. And Earl Spence, he's probably closer to retiring than anything else. You know what I'm saying? Because he ended up, and there's a lot of talk about what actually happened, but the truth of the matter is, he actually ended up backing out of that Bud Crawford rematch. So he backed out of that Bud Crawford rematch. And he's supposed to be fighting Sebastian Fundora sometime in the fourth quarter of this year for that 154-pound title for one of them, because he's going to get stripped of one. So I think the WBC title is going to be on the line for Earl Spence and Sebastian Fundora whenever that officially gets finalized. But yeah, Earl's definitely not. He's not going below 154, especially not to chase Ryan Garcia. And Ryan Garcia, he talks crazy, but he's not as crazy as he talks. He's not going to 154 to face Earl Spence either, though. So I don't think that's going to happen. And honestly, I don't even think it's a good matchup, man. I think Earl washes with Washington, especially with the body work Earl does. He's another guy. He's a very good, solid pressure fighter. Yeah, I think Earl washes him. Even now, even this Earl still, I think, washes him. Derek said he thinks he'd be more of a problem at 140 because close to his natural weight. I assume you're talking about Frank Martin. And yet the way he looked at the weigh-in, man, to make this 35, like this could be the one that it was the last one. This one could be the one that broke the camel's back. Because like I said, man, like weight, as far as I know, weight hadn't been an issue at 35 for Frank until this fight. And that boy looked sickly. That boy looked sickly to get to this 135. And Derek, my dog, Derek knows better than me. Derek knows probably better than all of us in here because Derek, was a fighter. Bro, to see Tank Davis on the day of a weigh-in do a standing backflip on stage, dog, that's crazy. That's crazy. That was crazy. Derek, tell me, bro. Talk to me. Doing backflips on the day of a weigh-in where everybody's dehydrated and drained and washed. Everybody's, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see Frank was trying to run off the stage. The reporter kept asking him questions. He kept trying to run off the stage and he didn't faint. Meanwhile, while Frank's ready to faint, Tank is doing backflips. That's crazy, bro. Man, that's crazy. My dog tried to say he don't never want to see Earl in the ring again, man. He thinks something wrong with bruh. Something wrong with him. He ran into Bud Crawford, boy. But not. In all seriousness, man, it sounds like he's gonna fight Fundora. He's gonna get one more because that's gonna be a big payday for him. He's gonna make some decent money. They're gonna do the fight in Dallas. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna get the bulk of that pie. It'll probably be like a 7, even though he's not the champion, but it'll still probably be like a 70-30 or even an 80-20. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be a nice payday for Earl Spence, man. And I think Earl might walk away after this Fundora fight. Because I really don't think he's, and especially with everything going on with Earl Spence and Derek James, like I still don't think it's been officially announced who his new trainer is, Chop. And so he's only had one trainer his whole life, or his whole professional career, Derek James. And now they beefing over money, which is terrible. I can't believe they let some bread fall between them, bro. That's crazy. But I don't know how many more fights he's got, man. I think he's definitely gonna fight Sebastian Fundora whenever that finally finalizes or works itself out. And then that very well may be his last fight. Because Bud's fighting a little later this summer. I expect him to win. He's going to capture a title. I think 2 belts are going to end up being on the line because Fundora got stripped of the WBO for refusing to fight Bud Crawford. And then I think the interim WBA is also on the line. So Bud's going to have 2 belts, assuming he beats this Israel Madronov. And is that August? I want to say it's the beginning of August. So he'll have 2 belts. And then Bud would still be in position to challenge for that WBC, but I don't think Earl's gonna get back in the ring with Bud at all. Let me catch up on these contacts. Kinfo, little sis in the building. What's happening? What's going on? Appreciate you. You supposed to be in class. You better be learning, studying something. He said Tank made people think Frank was winning. Well, see, here's the thing about that, Black. Like when I actually scored the fight, and I got my score in front of me. At the time of the stoppage, right? At the time of the stoppage, so not counting the 8th round, because the 8th round ended the fight. But through the first 7 rounds, I had Frank up on my card by 1 point. I had it 4 rounds to 3. So I had it 4 rounds to 3. Tank was winning on the scorecard. But there's some people who thought it was even wider than that. And honestly, I can see it being wider than that. Like, I think there's an argument that it could, in the first 7 rounds, I think there's an argument that Frank won 5 of the first 7 rounds. There's an argument. You know what I'm saying? But I had it 4-3. But let's say if somebody else had it 5-2 for Frank, I wouldn't be mad at that. I really wouldn't. Like, I gave Tank the first 2 rounds. I gave Frank the first 2 rounds for sure. The 3rd round, I ended up giving to Tank, but that could have been a Frank round as well, because Frank had a very nice, he had like a flashy combination to kind of end the round or towards the end of the round. And then even on replay, like only one of those shots really found home, and it was the last shot, a right hand, and it was a solid right hand though. And it probably was that flurry probably was the highlight of the round. But that 3rd round for me is when I first really felt like I started seeing Tank really kind of start letting his hands go. Man, I got notes. Hold on, man. Yeah, Tank came out more assertive in round 3. Oh, I got some footage. Hey, check me out, Chop. Hold on, check me out, Chop. I got some footage, man. I got some round 3 footage. Round 3 for me is when I saw, like, okay, yeah, Tank is getting comfortable. Hold on. I'm gonna play this clip in round 3. So, yeah, I don't know how much y'all follow like the lead up to the fights. You know what I'm saying? And so, in one of the press conferences, or in one of the final toward the end, or one of the last press conferences, the clip that went kind of viral where Tank made Frank, man, Tank and Frank is killing me, dog, because they names rhyme. When Tank made Frank flinch on the stage, and then, you know what I'm saying, pointed and laughed at him like, yo, soft ass. And then Frank was just like, no, the left was there though. Like, bro, that was just so soft. But Frank was looking scared to me, man, for most of this lead up. Anytime they were together on the Gilly and Wallow podcast, they did that jointly. He just always seemed a little shook to me, man. He really did. And then seeing him flinch as hard as he did, and then try to like redeem himself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, in round 3, you know what I'm saying? Round 3 is where we could see how that was still on his mind, man. I'm going to play this clip. Y'all tune in and check this clip out, man. This is round 3 where we see Frank clam up when Tank faints him again. Did y'all see that? One more time. I'm going to play it one more time, man, in case y'all didn't see it in the back. For the ones that didn't see it in the back, I'm going to play it one more time, man. I'm going to play it one more time. Come on, man. And then you see Tank smile at him again. I was like, oh, yeah, it's over. It's over, man. He shook. You know what I mean? Like, man, it's one thing, like, okay, somebody faints, yeah, you're gonna get a reaction, but his reaction wasn't like he wasn't gonna, you know what I'm saying, parry, or you know what I'm saying, in return. He wasn't gonna slip it. No, man, he covered up like this, bro. Come on, man. What part of the game is that? Hell no. Hell no. I was like, and then Tank seen it too, like, yeah, I got your soft ass. Yeah, man. And then from that moment, I was like, okay, yeah, we can count this down. We can count it down, man. We can count it down. You know what that moment was for me when he flinched like that and then Tank smiled at him? Like, yeah, yo, soft ass. Sometimes that happens in fight. Like that's the same way I felt when Bud Crawford pushed Earl Spence down. When he just like when Earl was trying to like muscle him, and Bud was just standing there, didn't even move, and then he just like winged him, and Earl fell back like 6 feet in the ring. When I seen that, I was like, oh, Earl in trouble. That was that moment like in the Chappelle show, like, hey, you know you done messed up. You know you done messed up, don't you? That was that moment. That was one of those moments, man. Like, and you know what? In the Devin Haney fight, it's another example. When Devin caught Ryan Garcia absolutely flush on the button, I want to say it's a left hook. I don't know if Devin Haney's ever threw a stronger punch in his life. That might have been the most powerful shot that Devin Haney's ever threw in his career. And when Ryan got caught, bow, he like kind of stumbled back and got mad and pumped his fist. He was like, oh, you mother, and did like this. I was like, oh, Devin, you in trouble, bro. Because that's the one you needed to keep Ryan off your ass, dog. That's the pause. That's the one you needed. That's the one you needed to get some respect. And then once Ryan took that shot, I was like, oh, yeah, man. Yeah, this don't look good. Because Ryan, every time Ryan touched your chin, boy, you went down. And you caught him with that was a hell of a shot Devin Haney caught Ryan Garcia with, boy. And Ryan Garcia took 2 steps back and looked at him like, I know you didn't hit me in my mouth. I was like, oh, man. Oh, Devin. Oh, man. Hey, man, you can start counting it down. That flinch for me in this Tank and Frank fight was that moment. Like, oh, yeah. It's just a matter of time. And then after this for me is kind of the point where Tank really started asserting himself more in the fight. The next round, the 4th round for me was probably the closest scoring round. Maybe we call that a swing round. In my opinion, that was kind of a swing round because I think that round could have went either way. I ended up giving it to Frank. Let me say why I said why. I ended up giving that 4th round to Frank. I think he came out and was more aggressive to start that round. I still think Tank did good body work in that round, but I ended up letting Frank edge that round out. But like I said, that one could have also been another Tank round. And then 6 and 7, I gave the Tank for sure. And then, of course, in round 8, he closed the show. But let me see. Let me catch up on the chat. Okay, Chop. Chop said after 4, he had a 3-1. I had it the same. That was exactly my score. I had it 3-1 after 4 as well. I did. And then I gave, matter of fact, I'll tell you, I'll go a step further. I gave round 5 to Frank. So after 5, I had it 4-1. Like I gave Tank 6 and 7. I think 6 and 7 were pretty clear Tank rounds. You know what I'm saying? But the first 5 rounds, I gave 4 of them to Frank. So he was winning, you know what I'm saying, the fight, in my opinion, on scores. Paul Anthony, man. Hey, what's the word, man? I'm glad you found us, big dog. Paul Anthony, man, what's up? Hey, I seen your comments, man, on the Usyk and Fury fight. I actually just caught those. Don't ask me why, man. I actually haven't been live again since that Usyk and Fury fight with just a lot going on. But I've seen here in the last few days some of your comments you left, man. You had great commentary on some of your thoughts on the fight. And so I am definitely curious to see what you think about this Tank and Frank fight, man. So we were kind of talking about the scoring or how you viewed the fight before, you know, of course it ended in the 8th. So one of the guys in the chat, Kendall Gilliard, my dog, man, we call him Black. He was thinking that I think he had Tank more so in firmer control throughout the fight, but me and then another guy in the chat, Jeremy Boyce, you know, so I'm introducing everybody like we cousins at a reunion. But now we both had Frank up in the fight to start. And that's what Jeremy says. He had Frank up 3-1 after 4. I had him also up 3-1 after 4. And I said I gave Frank the 5th as well. I had it 4-1 for Frank after the 5th round. And then I gave 6 and 7 to Tank. But before, of course, he stops him in the 8th. But I'm curious to see, man. I'm curious to see how you figure or how you had that fight scored before it got stopped. Oh, moms, hey, love you, lady. I'm happy to see you home and you well. I tried to call you a little earlier. I know you were a little under the weather. I appreciate you being able to stop through for sure. And matter of fact, I'm gonna call you tonight when I get off the show if you're still up. Mom, dudes. Okay, Black said Tank did it on purpose. Look at it, Tank came forward all night on the dehydrated fighter. No, and I don't disagree. I do think that was the game plan. Well, so there's two parts to that, right, Black? There's two parts to that because Tank is already a notoriously slow starter. So that's already, that's already just kind of how his fights tend to go. The pacing of his fights, he starts slow. And honestly, and you know what? I don't want to lie and say that I'm not necessarily saying he got that from Floyd, but Floyd Mayweather was also similar in that way as well, in which the first 2-3 rounds, he's just kind of, he's measuring you, he's getting you, he's getting a feel for you. People like to say he's downloading. And so Tank has some of that as well. Like we oftentimes see Tank more or less kind of concede these first two or even 3 rounds just to kind of, settle in and just kind of download information before then we see him kind of turn up. And so I don't disagree with you there. You know what I'm saying? I do think that was the game plan. And to Frank's credit, I mean, it wasn't okay. There was a lot of similarities before Tank, of course, drops him, but there were some similarities in the way that Frank was winning this fight is the same way that, in this unpopular opinion, y'all can say what y'all want to, I scored Devin Haney beating Lomachenko. And it was for the same reasons I scored it that way when I saw it is because it's the same way that Frank was able to have been winning the fight on my card. He was winning on points, even though I think he was losing the fight. So, and I agree with you because I could see that. I mean, he was moving extremely well. The first two, what's crazy is the first 2 rounds, Tank was also getting him in those corners. He just wasn't letting his hands go yet. And so I think that was intentional, to your point, Black, because he really was kind of letting him kind of wear himself out. Because Frank's activity definitely lost pace definitely by the 6th round. But Tank was definitely just walking him down. He just kept walking him down with that high guard, absorbing shots. And he was doing really good inside work to the body. He was doing really good counter inside work to the body for sure. And so, man, I want to say it might have been the 4th round that there was a massive, I think, left hook to the body that really, I think, hurt Frank for the first time in that fight. I want to say that was round 4. I want to say, or I might have it in my notes. Oh, don't worry about it. But yeah, but no, he was doing great work to the body. And then, of course, with Frank having such a hard weight cut, it definitely came into effect. So I agree with you there, but that doesn't change the fact that if we score in the fight, we got to say Frank was winning the fight on, or at least on my card, he was winning the fights on points. Now, I also saw that all 3 judges had it the other way. I had it 66-67 for Frank. And I think the official cards at time of stoppage had it the other way. They had it 67-66 for Tank. Yeah, 67-66 for Tank. But I can see that because round 4 for me was a swing round. That very well could have been a Tank round. I ended up letting Frank get the edge in that round, and that's why I had it 66-67 the other way. But round 4 for me could have been a Tank round, and then my card would have matched the card from the judges as well. He said I missed some big punches. No, and see, what is the thing? He was Tank for those first 2 rounds for sure. Really, for the first 2 rounds for sure, it was definitely quality over quantity. And so he did do good work. Like I saw those shots, but let's say Tank may land, like Frank may do 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes of quality work in a round using his foot speed, his mobility, his movement. And then, I'm not going to say he landed anything of necessary, like of overt consequence. Frank landed some solid shots as well. But the work that Tank did was, I mean, he got outworked. So he definitely had very quality counters, and especially to the body in those first, I want to say 4 rounds for sure. So he did do good work in those rounds that he conceded, but he really was very selective and chose his spots. And so I don't want to give him, I can't let the one solid shot he landed, especially like a counter to the body, like I say, for instance, I don't want to let that overshadow or just outdo the remaining 2 minutes of work that Frank did. You know what I mean? So I don't want to go too hard one way or the other in that way. Hey, you see, yeah, when he left, exactly. I'm catching up on these comments. My bad, y'all. But matter of fact, let me put them back up here for everybody. Mike Golden, what's the word, man? Sis know what's going on. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I got you. That's your ass's mind smile. That's that smile like, boy, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. This the guy? This is the guy, y'all? Him? Oh, yeah. It's over. You can cancel Christmas. For sure. Mike Golden, what's going on, man? He said he had Tank winning by the 8th. Yeah, no, and actually, I had Frank, like, he had definitely closed the gap on my card. Like I said, I had it 1 point. I had it 4-3 for Frank, but round 4 for me was almost a swing round of sorts. And so I ended up giving that edge to Frank in round 4, but that very well could have been a Tank round. And so I could have had it 67-66 at that time. But since I gave it to Frank, I had it 1 point in Frank's favor. But what we were talking about earlier, Mike, a lot of people had Tank, like there's a lot of people that thought Tank won the first 5 rounds. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people that felt that way. And so Chop said even in the rounds he had him losing, he was walking Frank down all fight. Exactly. And that's some of what I was saying as well, Chop. Like, yeah, he was definitely walking him down. He wasn't. And I think Tank also did a great job of making Frank feel overconfident in his own power, because it was obvious Tank was never concerned about anything returning from Frank. Like I say, he kept that high guard up and walked him down all night and really chose his shots and countered them beautifully, man, especially on the inside to the body, and really put on a masterful job, man, especially cutting the ring off. No, exactly. And I'll tell you what, I think round 5, I would. I don't know, man. There was a time there. That's a very good observation, though. That Tank definitely walked him to the corners most all night. There were maybe not even a lot. There may have been like 1 or 2 exchanges that were really kind of in the center of the ring, and I think Frank showed himself well in those. But now, for the most part, definitely the ring got cut off, man, and he was in those corners. And then, especially once Tank started letting his hands go. Who's this in the chat, man? Blitz Tactique. As an Aboriginal Australian, deeply saddened by Subriel Matias lost. Okay, European males colonized, enslaved, and subjugated my indigenous people for over 3 generations. I really wanted Matias to win. Well, for one thing, man, Matias getting upset was definitely. I don't necessarily know how many people seen that coming. He was like the new kind of boogeyman at 140. I don't. As far as I know, man, I don't believe he's Australian or Aboriginal. I want to say he's Puerto Rican. He's Puerto Rican. But I guess if you just cheering, you're just cheering for a fellow, another brown skinned guy, I guess, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I get, because Paro's Australian. Okay, my fault. I see the connection now. My bad, brother. My bad. No, no harm, no foul. I didn't mean nothing, but I had to try to line up the dots. That's what I was trying to do there, man. I was trying to connect the dots there because Matias is Puerto Rican. But no, Liam Paro is Australian. Okay, yeah, there you go. Liam Paro is definitely Australian. Well, and here's the thing as well, Blitz. Man, I'm not gonna lie, man. Paro earned it. Paro earned that victory, dog. He outworked him for sure. Matias, I don't know, man. It was an off night. I mean, it really was. I think he definitely got outworked, and Paro wasn't intimidated by his power. And I'm not gonna lie, Paro wasn't afraid to kind of mix it up inside with him. You know what I mean? Kind of getting inside and kind of getting off and not afraid to be rough or aggressive with him on the inside. And Matias is another one, man. He also kind of started that fight a little slower as well, especially in the first 2 rounds. Didn't really let his hands go, and I just think I don't know if it was just the pace of Paro. Paro moved beautifully. I mean, he earned it, man. He earned that win. The point deduction was a lot of people were worried that maybe that would steal the victory from Paro, who most people thought that Paro definitely earned that win for sure, as far as what they did in the ring. But no, man, I'm not mad at you at all, man. As far as the other dots there, you connected, like I said, an Aboriginal Australian, and then Australia got colonized by, was it England? I believe. I want to say, yeah, England in the 1700s or so, or I know the English used to use Australia as like a prison colony, if I remember correctly. And I know we're getting off topic and we're getting off base. I'm well cultured myself a little bit. I want to say England started using Australia as like a prison colony of sorts, not completely dissimilar for how America was also used by the English as well, as an extension of like a debtor's prison, amongst other things. But no, I see what you were saying there, man. So definitely, you're definitely pulling for Matias to kind of stick it to the man for you. But yeah, I feel you there. But yeah, now Matias is a guy, man. I'm curious to see what's next for Matias as well. Like I said, he had really had a nice buzz going for himself. Hey, sis know what's going on. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a fan of history. Oh, you got another one for me. Cosneo Park gets praised for headbutting, holding, hugging, and running. Well, I don't want to say he ran. I don't know. Now he got penalized though. He got the point deducted, and so I think he did get penalized for some of the stuff you're talking about. So I don't necessarily think it went unchecked, because he did get a point taken from him. So we've got to keep that in mind as well. Devin gets caught. Yeah, I hate the discourse around Devin Haney, man. I think he doesn't get the respect he deserves, man. He's accomplished so much at a young age. You know what I'm saying? He really has. Yeah, well, Pilafis, he doesn't really have much power. Also, I thought that he stayed at 130, 30 and 35 for a little too long, but that's where the big money fights were, and they couldn't get a lot of those done. Because he was trying to fight Lomachenko before Lomachenko fought Teofimo Lopez. Like, he was the mandatory for Loma back then, and Loma refused to fight him. But now Loma did fight Teofimo instead, so it wasn't necessarily a duck, because Teofimo had an actual title. And so that should have been a unification. That should have been an undisputed unification fight. But I forget which body, was it the WBA? They stripped Loma of one of those titles, and so the Teofimo Lopez fight wasn't an undisputed matchup. So Teofimo Lopez really got hosed, as far as Teofimo Lopez, in my mind, should be recognized as an undisputed champion. And this was before Devin did it, before Bud Crawford did it a second time. Teofimo Lopez should be an undisputed. He should have been an undisputed lightweight 135-pound champion, because he had a belt. Lomo had 3 belts. Loma turned down his mandatory against Devin Haney, fought Teofimo instead. Devin refused to take step aside money, and so they actually stripped him when they had that fight. That Teofimo won that fight and should have been an undisputed champion. So, which was unfortunate, honestly. That's one of the things I hate about boxing. Like, it's sometimes the politics get in the way of what's actually best for the fight. Let me see. Paul Anthony came back, man. He said, sorry. Yeah, I got you. He said, sorry, bro. He lost connection, but he didn't score it yet. Oh, hold on. A pretty smooth boxer. Frank did well, but only a matter of time before he got caught. Do you think Tank was hurt in the 7th with that shot? Take the price for a little guy. Okay. So, no, there was a lot of things that Frank did well in that fight for sure. Some of the things, and I was talking to another one of my friends about this, a couple of guys I also talk boxing with, and the things that Frank did well in this fight, that's the reason I think Shakur Stevenson is probably the only guy in that little kind of grouping of fighters that has a realistic chance of really beating Tank, because I definitely think he can outbox him. Maybe it's not going to be as exciting. It's not going to be as exciting. We all want to see slugfest. We all want to see Hagler Hearns. You know what I'm saying? We all want to see Hearns Duran. We all want to see everybody go in there and just trade and somebody get put to sleep. But that's not the reality of boxing. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the movement, the foot speed and hand speed. Frank showed pretty decent hand speed as well in that fight. You know what I mean? And he did land some solid shots. So the shot that Paul's talking about here in the 7th round, it was a counter. Was it a? It was a counter straight left hand. I want to say it was a straight left in an exchange, or maybe like a pull counter, and he caught him with a very flush and very solid left hand. But I don't think it hurt Tank though. I don't think so. I really think that Tank was very comfortable with Frank's power. And honestly, that does speak more. It does again speak to the boxing intelligence of Tank, because it's like Denzel Washington said in training that it was chess, not checkers. Like he made Frank overconfident in his own power. You know what I mean? Like hyping him up. Like, yeah, he cracked me. He caught, like, you know what I mean? Like Tank put that out there, and then they argued and bickered about it. And he was like, "Nah, I wouldn't." You know what I'm saying? But he did put it out there that, yeah, nah, he caught me with a good shot. And so, and he made Frank overconfident in his own power. But then the whole time, it wasn't an issue for him, because he came out from round 1 in a high guard, just walking him down. You know what I mean? Like just not worried about what was going to be returned. And then even when he got that shot, he took that shot well. And I still think Tank won round 7 clearly in my mind, but it was a very solid shot. Bliss said, "I already like you a lot, brother." Hey, welcome to the family, big dog. Come on, man. Welcome to the family, man. He said, "All right, like and subscribe, man." I can't say Matias got robbed, dog. I can't say that. I think Poirot earned that victory. I can't lie, man. I can't lie. I can't lie, man. I think Poirot earned that victory, dog. I think Matias came out a little flat, for one. Matias came out a little flat, and also I don't think his power, I don't know if he ever really got a chance to really catch him with a really hard flush shot, the way we've seen him make other guys quit. The last 5 guys that Subriel Matias fought quit on the stool. They didn't get stopped in the ring. The referee didn't wave them off. They didn't come out for a round. The last 5 guys. It's a crazy stat. You know what I'm saying? But I think Leon Poirot, man, he did a good job of just not letting Matias settle into his normal pace and range, and really, he didn't actually really. There was a couple flurries where Matias was letting his hands go and try to kind of get off, like, 3, 4, 5 shots in a row or whatever. But I don't feel like any of them ever really found home cleanly. You know what I'm saying? And so I think Poirot outworked him, man. I really do. I think it was just it was one of those nights. I think it really felt like it was Poirot's night. I think Matias came out a little flat. I think Matias may have even kind of started buying his own hype a little bit, because he's been in the news going back and forth with Regis Prograis, talking about fighting him. He's been calling out all the big names, talking about how everybody's scared to fight him. He got into it with Teofimo, got into it with Devin Haney. He was really going back and forth with Regis Prograis. And so he was almost kind of overlooking Poirot. It almost made me feel like Teofimo overlooking Kambosos a little bit. Just thinking like, yeah, he's a solid opponent or whatever, but he just didn't really give him much respect. And I think he came out a little flat, and Leon Poirot came out. He came out. He was Buster Douglas. I mean, well, not to that extent. Wasn't that great an upset in that way, but just it was his night. I do think it was his night. My dog Paul, man, Paul said came back, said seen the stun him momentarily, then hurt him. Yeah, no, and that's fair. And yeah, no, that's fair. I agree with that. Yeah, I don't think he was hurt, but I do agree with that. I think that shot was the one that was like, okay, yeah, you got me. Okay, that's solid. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, I'll take that one. You got that one off. But yeah, I don't think he was hurt though. Yeah, no, I agree with that. There you go. I definitely agree with that. Paul. Oh man, hold on, man. I almost forgot. I'd be remiss. Real Ball Talk family, we be remiss. How are we not gonna look at the knockout? If my dog Chopper here, man, I got another clip for you, dog. Where my dog Chop at, man? I got another clip for you, man. I learned from the best, man. Shout out to my dog Chop, man. He knows what's going on. But I got another one too. We got to look at the knockout. So I shortened it down pretty good. Once it's like 15 seconds, y'all bear with me, man. Let's take a look at this knockout and see what we like. What we My God. My God. That was devastating, dog. That was devastating. Matter of fact, you know what? Sometimes y'all don't be ready for the clip. We're going to watch that one more time. In case somebody missed it in the back, man. One more time for them people in the back, man. They might have missed that. We got to run that right back, man. But it was still the story of most that night. The way Black was talking about earlier, the fight was never in the center of the ring. Tank did a masterful job cutting off the ring, forcing them in the corners, and then he really, once we got to round 3, 4, 5, and on, he started kind of letting his hands go more so on those corners. Tank was so like strategically selective with his punch output too. Like everything was thrown intentionally, and you know what I'm saying. Like, and even watching this knockdown as well. A lot of guys, I'm gonna play it back for us, but one of the things I want to comment on is we see a lot of guys that you get a guy in the corner and then you just start going crazy. You just start wailing on him. And nah, man, he took his time. He threw the right uppercut forward first. It kind of glanced or grazed him. And then he measured him, took his time. He came back with that left, and boom, almost dropped him. And then even then, when Frank goes into the ropes and kind of comes back, a lot of guys would have just pounced on him, start windmilling, going crazy. And Tank still was like, no, okay, wait, okay, boom, okay, bam, okay, yeah, I got him. Let me wait on it, and then pow, and then put him to sleep with that second left, like right on the button. So we gonna watch it one more time, man. Tank probably has some of the most devastating knockouts we've seen this side of Mike Tyson, man. Argue with your mama. Yeah, my God, man. That's rough. That's rough, man. That's rough. Brooklyn boy in the building, man. What's the word, man? What's going on? Let's see what he said, what he got for us. I'm gonna put the chat on the board too, man. Everybody can see what's going on. So it looks like the Loma and Tank is next. Okay, yeah. Which is odd because wasn't Shakur being told to cross the street for that fight? People scared of Shakur. Hey, Brooklyn, we gotta talk. Because that's very interesting what you said. So it definitely looks like Loma and Tank is next. Here's my thoughts or questions on that, man. And I'm not the first person to say this, and so I'm not gonna take any credit, but it's been put out there in boxing media and just whatever. But is this fight too late now? Is it too late now for Loma to fight Tank? And I think that's a valid question to ask. I think it is. Because Tank is in the heart of his prime, mentally and physically. Like, Tank is such a smart and cerebral fighter now, and it's really, you know what I mean? Like, this is, man, it's special where he's at now. But Loma is just past his heel. You know what I'm saying? Loma's coming down his hill. He's not at the bottom of that hill, but he's crested his hill. You know what I'm saying? It's only down for Loma now at this point. Like, you know what I'm saying? So Loma only has like one more high level quality outing. I think Loma's 36, dog. You know what I'm saying? And so I think Loma he's past his prime window, and meanwhile Tank is in the heart of his window. And so is it too late for this fight? You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing, Brooklyn, though, about it. Shakur didn't do himself no favors, dog, with that De Los Santos performance, man. Like, and I'm a huge Shakur. I was standing on a table. I was arguing boys up and down. Like, if Shakur and Tank would have fought 9 months ago, I was taking Shakur, and I was going to argue with anybody until I was blue in the face that Shakur going to get the dub. Like, that's how I felt. And I still like Shakur as far as just because the styles make the fights. So I dig what you're saying, and a lot of guys don't want to fight Shakur. Like, Loma didn't want to fight Shakur. You know what I'm saying? Truthfully. Now, here's another thing too, Brooklyn boy. Shakur ran from that Devin Haney fight. Shakur should have took that Devin Haney fight, bro. He really should have. I think he fumbled the bag there. Not fumbled the bag as far as financially, but he fumbled, a terrific opportunity. He couldn't look past the immediate dollar. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was his chance. He should have took that Devin Haney fight. I had him beating Devin Haney. He should have took that Devin Haney fight. That Devin Haney fight would have got him a Loma fight. Instead, things played out the way they did. But that's where he messed up at. But now coming off of that De Los Santos performance, Shakur, he lost a lot of steam. He lost a lot of steam, bro, behind his name. Like, I don't know if that fight can't sell right now, respectfully. Like, Tank is going to sell because it's Tank. People are excited to see him. But that fight, if they were the next fight, that fight's at 70% of what it could be. Because people still, like real boxing fans and people who really pay attention, we know what's up with Shakur. We know he's a damn good fighter. We know he's super talented, arguably a pound-for-pound fighter. You know what I'm saying? So we know what's going on. But the casual fan that'll go watch Ryan Garcia won't go watch Shakur Stevenson. They don't know him. And if you don't know Shakur Stevenson, but you're hearing he's going to fight Tank Davis, well, okay, you go Google Shakur Stevenson so you can try to do some homework. And let's say the most recent fight you see is De Los Santos. You're going to watch that De Los Santos fight and be like, man, I don't want to see this guy run around the ring and waste a good $80 on me buying a Tank fight. So I don't think the timing of it now with the way that Shakur handled his business these last 15 months, I think he set himself back. So Shakur's got to come out and have, well, it's going to take two performances because Shakur is fighting this summer a guy who nobody knows, but it's a good get back fight. He's got to put on a show. You know what I'm saying? He needs this next fight to put on a show. Then he needs a name. So I would say realistically that Tank fight might be 3 fights from now. Like if I was lining up fights for Shakur, he's already got this fight coming up in July. I think it's like middle of July. A guy, I don't know his name. I'm not even gonna try to guess his name. But he needs to win that dominantly. He needs to knock this guy out or hurt him bad. It needs to be a dominant win. Then I want to see Shakur and Pitbull Cruz. That's the fight I think I would want to see because it's an aggressive pressure fighter, a guy that's going to be in your chest, and it's a guy that honestly I think Shakur can just dance circles around and pick him apart. And it's a big enough name. It's a big enough, and he's got a belt. Isaac Cruz has is he the WBA champion 140 or is he 135? I think he's also got a belt. So I would line up that Pitbull fight. Then I want to see the Tank fight. Like Shakur's got to redeem his image in the public a little bit. Honestly, he really does. That De Los Santos fight, when that Frank Martin fight failed, when the 3 biggest mistakes that Shakur made of 2023, 2024, he turned down that Devin Haney fight. That was number 1. That was a huge mistake. Huge mistake. Then that Frank Martin fight fell through. We forget. Tank was going to fight Frank first. And then that fight fell through. And so the De Los Santos fight was the replacement fight for Frank Martin. And then you go out there and lay an egg and drop a dud in that De Los Santos fight. And it was 3 strikes for 2023. He was out. Or 2023-24. You know what I'm saying? The timeline, whenever that was. And so he's got to revamp his image a little bit, honestly. But I really enjoy Shakur as a fighter for sure. Definitely. Let me catch up on these comments, chat. My fault. Hold on, catching up. What'd you say there? Hold on. I had to scroll back through these comments. Y'all bear with me. Hold on. It'd be hard to keep up with the chat sometimes, man. I get to run in my mouth. Matter of fact, while I'm trying to catch up on the chat, I can refresh myself real quick, get a little drink. Brooker said he agreed. That's why he got to knock out Artem. Okay, is that his name, man? I couldn't even think of dude's name. No, exactly. He's got to revamp his image, man. He's got to get. He was starting to have some smoke on his name. I think he overestimated, or he's a star, but he's not a superstar yet. And he started treating himself like he's a superstar. Like, nah, man, you can't move like that just yet. You know what I mean? Like, if you fight Devin Haney, you're going to be the B-side in that fight. Shakur, sorry. And no, honestly, I don't think he deserved 50-50 for that fight. Devin Haney was coming off of, he's undisputed. He went to Australia twice and smoked Kambosos. Now, not to say Kambosos is a tremendous fighter, but I'm just saying he still did what he did. He beat TFMO, who was the guy who beat Loma. He went to Australia, took pennies, relatively speaking, of course, but he took pennies on the dollar to go to Australia, whoop him twice. Then he fought Lomachenko, and hate it or love it, he beat Lomachenko. So yeah, you know what I'm saying? He paid his dues. He deserves that money this fight. Shakur, you ain't had to do that yet. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't had to go take them L's so you can come back and get paid. Devin did that. This was his fight. He was in position to get paid, bro. You really didn't bring him nothing but your name, and he was willing to fight you when a lot of guys weren't. You know what I'm saying? Like Brooklyn said. So I think he misplayed his hand, man. I think he definitely did. Bliss came back and said Tank Davis would dominate the Lomachenko with ease. Yeah, I think he is now, man. Like I said, I think it's too late, man. I think it's 3-4 years too late. It really is. Like when Lomachenko lost to Teofimo, and I think he definitely lost that fight. He lost to Teofimo, and then he fought. Did he fight Rigondeaux after Teofimo? Or was that before? I think he fought Rigondeaux after, but Rigondeaux came up 2 or even 3 weight classes. Rigondeaux came up at least 2 weight classes. Rigondeaux was also already older, past his best as well. He gets dominated by Lomachenko. He loses. And so then after that Rigondeaux fight, if I'm remembering right, that would have been a time for maybe Loma and Tank to get it on then. You know what I mean? But this is also at the time where Tank is really just now hitting his groove. So we forget Tank really burst on the scene. The Pedraza fight was a big knockout, and that's when he won his first title, but he still wasn't like that kind of, was the first kind of blip on the radar. The Leo Santa Cruz fight is the one I think really did it. It was the 2020 knockout of the year, and it was absolutely brutal. You know what I mean? That's the one that really did it for Tank, that really kind of put him on this trajectory that he's on now. That Leo Santa Cruz fight, the uppercut in the corner, that man is, if you haven't seen it, Google that tonight. Golly. And then I think he fights Mario Barrios after that, gets a very impressive knockout as well. So I think it does feel like it's a good 2-3 years late. I don't think Lomachenko realistically, I don't think it's much of a even fight at this time, just where they both are at. Like Tank is in the heart of his prime, and I think he's still ascending. Like he's every time he gets in the ring, man, he looks like a sharper, smarter, more powerful version of himself every time he gets in the ring. And so, I think for Loma, man, that the ship has sailed as far as a win. Now, here's the thing too. Do y'all think Tank knocks Loma out? Yeah, I'm thinking about it now. Yeah, I think he does. Seeing him cut off Frank in the ring, because Lomachenko has excellent mobility. He has excellent foot speed. He's very crafty the way he uses angles, and he gets on the side and even behind guys a little bit when you're infighting and when you're close. But he doesn't have power to keep him out. He doesn't have power to keep Tank honest, or to keep him off of him, or just to stop him from just going into the high guard and just kind of cutting the ring off and walking him down. Tank is slick enough and his hands are fast enough. I think he can counter. He can catch and counter Loma as well. And honestly, I mean, I think Tank. I think Tank probably stops Loma. I think he probably does, man. I think Tank probably does stop him. Who's that? Oh, I'm behind in my chat, man. I see Paul giving a shout out to our dog Blitz, man. As far as the historical atrocities and things that have been done to, the indigenous Australians. And then honestly, you know what, man, while we're talking about it on a greater note, and I'll go ahead and post that, man, on a grander note, the large scale atrocities that were done to places around the world, man. So in addition to the Australians and indigenous Australians, man, the native indigenous peoples here in America, man, or the things the Congolese went through from the Belgium king, that man gets that doesn't get the recognition it deserves as far as historical context, as far as just some of the greater atrocities done to native indigenous peoples, man, by the people at that time, man. So just like you said, man, hey, peace and respect for sure, man. That's a rough history, no doubt. He said Pitbull versus Cruz would be fun, huh? Pitbull versus Cruz. Pitbull versus Cruz. Wait, Isaac Cruz is Pitbull. Who'd you mean to say? Or am I missing somebody? Who am I thinking of? Pitbull versus Cruz. Granted, Jimmy testing. Oh, okay, yeah. Pitbull versus Shakur. Yeah, that's what I want to see, man. I think after this fight with the goddamn man, and Brooklyn just told us the guy's name that Shakur is fighting here in a couple months, Artem, I think, or something like that. After that fight, I want to see Shakur and Pitbull, man. I think that's a good. I do think it's a good one as well. It's a good quality opponent, and I think it's a high profile fight that I think Shakur should win, and I think that puts him back in the driver's seat or gives him the momentum that he's needed to have that massive super fight with Tank. Because Tank's definitely going to fight Lomo next anyway. You know what I'm saying? And so I like that. Bliss said Rigo came up 3 classes. I think he did, man. It was at least 2. It may have been 3, though. It really was a huge jump. It really was a huge jump in weight class. And like I said, Rigondeaux was already, I think Rigondeaux might have been Lomachenko's age. I think he was already on the other side of 35. He was probably closer to 40 than he was to 30 when they had that fight. And he came up all those weight classes for sure. Hey, Paul, I think I had the exact same scorecard. I think I had the exact same scorecard. I think Teofimo won the first 6 rounds of that fight, literally, and he won round 12. I think I scored that fight the exact same way. That's crazy. Legitimately, I scored that fight the exact same way. Tio came out, man, and he was awesome. After that fight, I thought Teofimo was going to hit the trajectory of his career. I thought was going to go another way. I thought Teofimo, after that Lomachenko fight and that win, I thought his path was going to kind of go the way we've seen Tank Davis' path go now. As far as I thought he was going to turn into a superstar, so to say, the way that we've seen Tank after the Lea Santa Cruz fight. I thought that Lomo fight was going to do that for Teofimo. But then he's got the Kambosos defense. Remember that Kambosos fight drug out for like 18 months. It got canceled a couple times through the injury and illness, and then they couldn't get it couldn't get promoted, or they weren't happy with the money. Nobody wanted to put up money to see the fight. Like I said, nobody knew Kambosos. Nobody wanted to see him fight Kambosos. It was mandatory. And so that fight got delayed so many times. Then they finally end up fighting, and then he gets upset. And so it really kind of threw a wrench in everything. And then his performances since Lomachenko have been very inconsistent, which is crazy because Teofimo is a super talented dude. Super athlete. He's got good power. He's a underrated counterpuncher, I think. Honestly, I think he's a very underrated counterpuncher. I think a fight with him and Tank could be interesting, but I think Tank has now surpassed him, though. I think 3 years ago, I think a fight with him and Tank could have been a 50-50 fight, honestly, in my mind. The Teofimo that beat Lomachenko, if he fights, and that was, 3 years ago now? That Teofimo fighting that Tank back then, that's a 50-50 fight, man, and that is an awesome fight to see. But I think Tank has definitely surpassed him now, and Teofimo, like I say, he's just so up and down now, so inconsistent with his performances. Let me see here. Oh, okay. Bliss came and said he meant Tank. Oh, he meant Tank, not Shakur. Okay, Pitbull. Yeah, Pitbull versus Shakur. Yeah, no, I also think that's a good matchup. And then, yeah, Paul also says, man, that Rigo was way too small for Lomachenko. Yeah, no, definitely. Definitely, for sure. Now, here's a question as well to y'all in here, and we was just talking about, I know we've been kind of dancing around it because we know Lomachenko's going to fight Tank next, or he should, assuming everything goes through. But eventually, when Tank and Shakur do fight, who y'all taking? If Tank and Shakur gets announced as the next fight instead of Lomachenko, who do y'all take in that fight? Because there's a part of me that still wants to believe that Shakur can do it, but I don't know, man. Just recency bias or the microwave effect. Tank's performance is fresh in our mind. And especially when we look at the last time we seen Tank and the last time we seen Shakur, If you had to ask me today, if I'm being honest, I would probably choose Tank. But like I said, man, 9 months ago, I'd have took Shakur. Honestly, 9 months ago, I'd have took Shakur. Because the styles make the fights, baby. Tank gonna knock snot at that boy nose. You talking about Loma or Shakur? Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. I think he gonna catch Loma with something, boy. Gonna probably set him on his pockets. I ain't gonna lie to you. I think I agree. If you talking about Lomachenko, I think the same thing, man. I think he drops Lomachenko. I think Lomachenko maybe like around round. See, well, here's the thing too. Lomachenko starts slow. They both start kind of slow. So, and that's what happened with Lomachenko in that Teofimo Lopez fight. Like I say, he really was sleepwalking for the first 4 or 5 rounds of that fight. You know what I mean? And then he picked it up in the gear. And that for me is the same thing that happened in that Devin Haney fight. I had that Devin Haney fight 7-5. You know what I mean? Like Devin outworked him. And there was just rounds where just Loma just wasn't working. You know what I mean? And so Lomachenko tends to start slow as well. Now in this Kambosos fight, I feel like he came out more aggressive and just got him out of there. He just dominated from the opening bell, but that's also a steep drop in competition. You know what I'm saying? But you say Shakur? Nah, man. I don't think you can catch. I think it's gonna be harder to catch Shakur than it was, of course, than it was for Frank. But nah, Shakur might be the. I'm gonna think about this before I say this, chat. I'm gonna think about this first. Right now, off the top of my head, if I had to bet money or put money on it, Shakur Stevenson might be the best defensive fighter in boxing because he's so slick, he's so athletic, he's so quick, cat quick. You know what I'm saying? Like he may be the. I don't know, man. I don't know if he's gonna catch him clean, and that's why Tank really hasn't been as interested in that fight. And he's even said it like, man, we know how that fight's gonna go, man. I'm gonna have to chase him. And I think he's right. Because Shakur is not worried about, and he said that again in the De Los Santos fight, and he said that before, like, look, man, I get into the ring to win. I don't need to look pretty. I don't need to, man, when I get into the ring, I need to win. I'm gonna do what it takes to win. And so I think he would, man, dance and run and make him chase him and pot shot him all night. Honestly, I don't imagine. I just don't know, man. I don't know if he'd be able to catch him clean. I really don't, man. I don't know if it's I don't know. It's just hard for me to imagine Shakur just getting cornered like Frank and then just getting rocked like that. Like, I don't know, man. He moves too well. That's Sweet Pea, man. That's Pernell Whitaker 2.0, man. Like, even when he's in front of you, he's not in front of you. I don't know, dog. I don't know. I can't wait to see it, though. I think we're gonna get that fight, man. We're going to get that in 2025 for sure. Who else we got in here? Bliss came back, man. He said Teofimo was a special fighter. He used to like him a lot. He used to think that Teo had a shot at beating Tank. See, that's how I used to think. That the Teo who beat Lomachenko, that Teo, like that guy right there, because that was what 3 years ago or 3 or 4 years ago, something like that. Whenever that fight took place, and so we got to take Tank back to 3 or 4 years ago as well. So it'd be that Teo versus that Tank back then, and I think that's a 50-50 fight, boy. That's a hell of a fight. And I think that guy could have beat Tank. I think so. But now, yeah, he said, hell no. Yeah, see, I'm leaning the way you are too. Now, he's way too inconsistent. And you know what, man? And I'm glad you brought up Josh Taylor. Because Teofimo Lopez has an argument. There's an argument that Teofimo Lopez could have been a 2-time undisputed champion. He beat Lomachenko. That should have been for undisputed. They had between the two of them, they had all 4 belts. Lomachenko got stripped for not fighting Devin Haney in that fight. So he never lost that belt. He lost those belts to Teo, but I want to say, no, the WBC. I think the WBC took their belt away and gave it to Devin. That's how Devin first became WBC champion. So that should have been undisputed. Teo won that fight, should have been undisputed. Then he fights Josh Taylor at 140, and Josh Taylor, what happened there? Hold on. Josh Taylor was the undisputed champion at 140. Now he had the fight with Jack Catterall, number 1, which a lot of people think that Catterall probably won that first fight. And, I can see it either. I can see it either way. So people think that Catterall actually won that fight. But regardless, officially, Josh Taylor won that fight, retained his undisputed status, and then there was talk about Josh Taylor moving to 147 to challenge Bud Crawford. Well, that fight never materialized, etc., etc. Josh Taylor ended up relinquishing one or two of those belts, and then he fought Teofimo, and Teofimo smoked him. So Josh Taylor was the lineal undisputed champion. He hadn't been beaten, hadn't lost any of those belts. He gave them back. He relinquished two of them. And so, technically speaking, Teofimo Lopez has an argument that he could arguably have been a two-time undisputed champion by beating Lomachenko and beating Josh Taylor. And that's a crazy resume to have, man. Like Teofimo Lopez, like if we're ranking these guys by resume, then Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney have the superior resumes to Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson, because Devin Haney has Lomachenko on his resume. You know what I mean? Like that's a huge stepping stone. And then he's got Kambosos twice in Australia, so there's some context there. And he went to, and that's the guy who beat Loma. But that Regis Prograis victory at 140 was an extremely quality win. Regis Prograis hadn't lost in like 8 years, and the guy he lost to was Josh Taylor, and that was an excellent fight. I don't know if y'all see, I seen it. I watch a lot of fights though. But I seen that fight. That was a damn good fight. And that was a fight that was a very close fight. And Josh Taylor got the edge over Regis Prograis. That was the last time Regis Prograis had lost. That was like 7 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And he was a champion. And Devin went up and dominated him, smoked him. I think Devin could have stopped Regis Prograis in that fight if he'd wanted to push the issue. He hurt Regis Prograis a couple times in that fight. You know what I mean? Like, and he just didn't. He's not the type of fighter like a Bud Crawford or like a Tank, where if there's blood in the water, I'm going to kill now, or Errol Spence. He wasn't worried about getting him out of there. He was comfortable just beating him 12 rounds to 0. I don't know if Regis Prograis won a round in that fight. Let me see. Brooklyn boy came back, man. He said he got Shakur winning versus Tank. People are getting too wild up for what Tank did at a 30-year-old prospect. Shakir is nowhere near the same as Frank. No, that's fair. See, all of that is true. I feel you, Brooklyn. I feel you, dog. I do. That's exactly how I felt. 15 months ago, I felt the same way. And I'll tell you why. Not even for the fact that Shakir was going to run. Did y'all see this? And I don't know how long y'all been watching, you know what I'm saying, how long y'all been paying attention to some of these fighters, because a lot of these guys are young. I don't know if y'all saw when Shakir beat when he beat the shit out of Oscar Valdez at 30, but the Shakir that fought Oscar Valdez, and then even before that, Jamel Herring, when Shakur Stevenson put them paws on Jamel Herring the way he did, I was like, oh, that was that Bud Crawford effect. Shakir and Bud started locking in and getting real close, and Bud kind of took Shakir under his wing, and Shakir transitioned from like a dancer and more of a guy, I'm going to outbox you, I'm going to move, I'm going to hit and not get hit, I'm going to be a very technical, slick defensive fighter. And then he started hanging out with Bud, and then he got a mean streak in him. I'm giving that credit to Bud, man. That's how I feel. He got that mean streak in him. And he went in there and abused Jamel Herring, abused that boy. And then he went and fought Oscar Valdez and completely toyed with him. And Oscar Valdez is a quality champ. Oscar Valdez is a champion again. So he ain't no slouch. He wasn't a slouch at all. He had been the champ at 130 for like 3 years, I want to say. And then Shakir went in there and toyed with him and beat his ass, though. Put real paws to him. And then Oscar Valdez, I think Oscar Valdez's last fight, he's a champion again. So he's not a slouch. So looking at him put hands on Jamel Herring and then looking at Shakir put hands on Oscar Valdez, I was like, oh yeah, he ready for Tank, because he can dance now, and now he's got that mean streak, and now he's also willing to go ahead and trade and let his hands go, and he's ready to be an aggressor and not just a defensive tactician. He's got an aggressive side to him as well. I was with you, Brooklyn. I was with you. But then that fucking De Los Santos fight, dog. I hated that, man. It was ugly. And I know I think his hand was broke, or he was injured, and he I guess knew it was gonna be an ugly night. But even still, dog, you can't lay an egg like that, man. That's probably the worst fight that we've seen in 50 years. I mean, that was a all-time just ugly fight. It was hard to watch. You know what I'm saying? And so it makes me think of we've seen Tank fight injured when he fought Pitbull Cruz. He broke his hand. He had to fight Pitbull Cruz with one hand for like 7 rounds. But how'd it look? He still was in pocket. He still was countering, and yeah, he did use a lot more of his defense, a lot more of his foot speed and mobility, and using angles more. So we saw him be a lot more like technically proficient in that fight, but he didn't run, even though he had a broke hand in that fight. He didn't run. Devin ran that De Los Santos fight, dog, and that it hurts me to say it, man. I'm a huge Shakur fan. I am. But dog, that was such an ugly performance, man. It really was. That's why he got to get that out. He got to clean his face, dog. He can't come back around here, man. He got to clean his face. Got to, man. Money ain't good in here no more, dog. You got to get that back. He got to wash dude in July. He got to wash him ugly. You know what I mean? He's got to wash him. Then he's got to go catch a real body. He got to go get a Pitbull Cruz. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got to... I don't imagine T.O. will fight him. I don't think it'll be time for him to fight Tank yet. You know what I'm saying? So he's got to get Matias. If Subriel Matias is looking to rebound, I don't know if he's going to rematch Paro or what it's going to look like for him, but he's got to go catch a real body. He's got to go have a good performance against a guy we know. Then he's ready for Tank at that point again. But yeah, man, I can't see that De Los Santos performance and then seeing the last 2 performances I've seen for Tank and say I still feel the same way, man. I can't. I'd be lying and disrespecting Tank because I gotta respect what he put on display. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Shakur got to get that back, man. He got to get that one back, dog. Oh man, I'm behind in the chat. My fault, y'all. Let me see what else we got going on, man. Oh, Blitz coming in hot. Tank stops Shakur. Under 10 rounds? Boy, you crazy as hell. If Shakur can't get Tank's respect early, it's pretty much over. Shakur's extremely high ring IQ could pose problems for Tank, though. I can't see him getting stopped. I can't see him getting stopped, bro. I can't see him getting stopped. He's too, just like you said, like, he's too smart. He moves too well. Like Frank, I keep saying Tank and Frank. Frank gassed in that fight because he was moving extremely well, but he's inexperienced as well. Like he did a good job moving and especially early on, especially like those first 4 rounds. He was still moving well, but he still was letting himself get cut off and getting cornered, and then he was sitting in those corners as well. Like those are mistakes that Shakur just doesn't make. Like Shakur's just not going to make those mistakes. I can't imagine Shakur being in a position where Tank could sit there and measure him for 3 solid intentional shots. He throws a loose right to kind of move him where he wants to. Then boom, left uppercut, rocks him. He was really out on his feet at this point. And then one more play. I just can't see. Nah, man, hell nah. Shakur can't. I just can't imagine Shakur getting caught like that, bro. I can't imagine. Tank will force my dog Chop, man. He said Tank will force Shakur to stand and fight him. He's also tactile in his approach. Shakur doesn't have the power to keep him off all 12. That's a good. The power is the thing that I would having enough power to keep him honest is a real thing. It is a real thing. I think Shakur is going to have the speed because speed can be power, or speed can beat power. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, it just can. Because power's got to find its way home. You know, like, and you know where I learned this lesson, Chop. This is why you got to measure. Power is important, but you can't overcompensate for it, because that's the lesson we learned from Sonny Liston and Muhammad Ali. We learned that lesson in the 60s. Power is good, but you can't. Your hands can't hit what your eyes can't see. You know what I'm saying? Like Shakur, I think, has special movement ability. Man, I just can't imagine. I can't imagine him just getting lined up and just cleaned up like that, man. Just he's too slick like that, man. That's why I think that's such a hard fight for Tank, because I think Shakur really can outbox him. And I think the Shakur that fought Oscar Valdez and the Shakur that put them hands on Jamel Herring, That Shakir that's got that mean streak in him and that's not afraid of being aggressive, man, he can get in, get out. He can get in, get off, and then get out. You know what I'm saying? And Tank starts so slow. Tank will probably lose the first 3 rounds of that fight just off the muscle. Just right off the rip. Tank gonna lose the first 3 rounds of that fight. And it doesn't even matter what Shakir is doing. He ain't got to do nothing special. Tank starts slow. The first 3 rounds are almost given away. But Shakir is not going to gas out like Frank did. He's not going to gas out. He's a smarter fighter, a much smarter fighter, a much more experienced fighter. He's not going to make those mistakes. Getting herded into the corners, sitting in those corners, getting moved into the left hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tank moved him into that left. In the clip we seen, he throws just a loose little looping right. It wasn't no steam on it, no mustard on it. He threw a little loose right just to move Frank over. Pow! Left uppercut. Moved him right into it. Knocked his head off his shoulders. Then, one more for good measure. Take this with you. Go to sleep. Like, Shakir doesn't make those mistakes, man. Shakir doesn't make those mistakes, dog. Ah, man. Yeah, I don't know, dog. That's gonna be a hell of a fight. Hold on, we got some more here. Hold on, what we got? Let me catch up on this chat. Our dog Bliss came in, man. He said Tank Davis, Shakir, Pitbull, and Teofimo would all beat the brakes off of an overrated, privileged, hype job Lomachenko. Ooh. Nah, Blitz. I'm glad. I agree with you in part. I'm not gonna say he's overrated because Loma is super talented, but he was given advantages that a lot of guys don't get. Nobody else gets. The fact that he got that title shot. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. The fact that Loma got that title shot coming off of a loss is just unfair. There's no other way to say it. Because win, lose, or draw, his talent is undeniable, supremely skilled. He really is. He's supremely skilled, so he's not overrated. But he was given the short road to the top. Because he lost his second fight to a journeyman. Now I can't even think of that dude's name, man. Damn. I can't even think of that dude's name now. The dude had 15 losses. A journeyman, you know what I mean? He had 15 losses when he fought Lomachenko. And he won. Now he made it ugly. It was an ugly fight. He roughed him. He did what he needed to do. He roughed him up. It was wrestling him around. It was similar to how think about like Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao. You know what I mean? Like Manny Pacquiao and Lomachenko, I think has some similarities. They're undersized. They're firecrackers. They you know what I mean? They move and they stick and move. They're just Energizer bunnies. And Jeff Horn was bigger and just kind of more aggressive. Roughed him up. Made it a dirty fight. Made him get in the mud with him. And so Loma lost that fight though. He did. Then the next fight he gets a championship. He gets a fight against Gary Russell for a belt after that loss. And so there is something to that he was given an easier path to the top than anybody else. Nobody else could have lost to a 15-loss journeyman and then got a title fight your next fight. That's like, I'm pissed off that Earl Spence is getting a fight for Sebastian Fundora for a title after getting his ass beat by Bud Crawford. And you know what I'm saying? And that was a quality opponent. It wasn't like he lost to a journeyman, but I still don't like the Spence versus Fundora fight for that same reason. A guy coming off a loss shouldn't fight for a title in his next fight unless he's rematching the guy he just lost. But don't go nowhere else and fight for a title. So I agree with you there, but I can't say Loma's overrated, man. He's a quality fighter. He's older now. He was a damn great, good fighter. He really was. I think here's another thing too. If we're talking today, so right now today, yeah, I'm taking Tank. I'm taking Shakir. Well, Teofimo already beat him, so I'll leave that where it is. The Pitbull fight is interesting. I don't necessarily think Pitbull beats Loma. Loma's movement. And then also we seen Pitbull struggle with Pitbull had a hard time against not this last guy that he won, he got a belt. The guy before that Pitbull didn't look good in his fight before last. I can't think of the guy's name. But very good point though. A lot of guys forget that Loma, that's an ugly loss. It's a very, very ugly loss for sure on his record. Bliss said he agrees with Chop though as far as the take on Shakir and Tank. I mean, I don't know, man. Y'all gotta have to go. Go, hey, y'all do me a favor. Tomorrow, I know it's a little late. Tomorrow, man, when y'all at work, y'all on your lunch break, you got some time. YouTube that Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez fight. And Oscar Valdez was a quality champion. Oscar Valdez is a champion again. So he went and got his belts back. The belts he lost to Shakur, he went and got them back. He's a quality fighter. He's not a slouch. Go watch what Shakur did to Oscar Valdez. And then if you got time, go ahead and watch that Jamel Herring fight too. Well, I'll tell you, boy, that boy he had a mean streak in him, boy, and I'm giving that credit to Bud Crawford. No, hey, Blitz for sure. That's exactly what I was saying earlier. My fault, I'm just catching up. Exactly. T.O. arguably could have been a 2-time undisputed champion. Him and Bud would have been the first two to do it. And now I think it's just Bud, but T.O. could have been the first. He would have did, because the timeline, the way it happened, he would have done it before Bud did. Okay, he said, thank Hagler Hearns. Hagler walked him down. Well, Hearns couldn't move like Shakur. Hearns couldn't move like Shakur. No. Hearns couldn't move like Shakur. And Hearns wasn't as defensively savvy. Hearns was Hearns was super talented, but he wasn't a great defensive fighter. And that's why he lost those fights to Sugar Ray Leonard. He lost that fight to Hagler. He smoked Roberto Duran though. I'm glad he has that on his resume. Who was another guy back there? I think Hearns. Well, I think Hearns was beating Sugar Ray Leonard in that first one. He really was, but he's just not a great defensive fighter. He leaves his chin exposed. He overextends. He leaves his hands down and starts throwing his hands wild, relying too much on that power. He had awesome power for sure, but he's not defensively sound, and that's how Sugar Ray Leonard came back and got him in their fight. And trading with Hagler the way he was, man, and this is a credit to Hagler. Probably one of the more underrated guys, man. It feels like everybody knows he's great, but we always seem to kind of forget about him when we're talking about old fighters from, you know what I mean? We tend to go to Leonard and Hearns, I think, more often than we go to Hagler. Hagler may have had the best chin in boxing. Hagler's got a top 5 chin in the history of boxing. Go look at go watch that fight again. It's only 3 rounds. Was it 3 rounds or 2 rounds? It's like a 3-round fight, him and Hagler and Hearns. Look at some of the shots that Hearns hit Hagler with. And then watch a knockout highlight of Hearns to understand, like, these are the shots that Hagler just ate and kept coming. And then giving it back, giving better than he took, taking those shots from Hearns the way he did. So, man, yeah, that was wild. But no, Hagler was he was just not at all he was a less than adequate defensive fighter. He said walk through his speed. Well, Hearns had good hand speed, but not foot speed. He can't move. He can't move around the ring the way that Shakur can. But hand speed, he had terrific hand speed for sure. Salido, there you go. Blitz is on the ball, man. Salido, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Salido. And Salido had like 15 losses at that time, if I remember right. I think Salido's record was like 37-15 with like 4 draws. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a very very ugly loss. Hey, Chop said pause. Oh, did I say something crazy, man? Did I say something crazy, dog? Oh, man, what'd I say? Oh, I didn't even catch it. My sister laughing. I didn't even catch it, man. What'd I say? Maybe don't tell me, man. I don't know. I didn't even catch it, dog. What Bliss got for me, man? He said, hey, Dan, we forgot to ask, would you make a Benevidez diamond win over wrinkled face, thin lipped Olisander? Well, here's the thing. Oh, and I'm glad. Yeah, man, I meant to talk about Benevidez as well, man. We hadn't even got to get to it. I like the performance. Now, here's the thing. I don't think I really liked what I saw from Benevidez for like the first half of that fight. He got I'm assuming he gassed a little bit or got a little tired. Now, also, this is his first time at this weight. I think some of the shot. I think this is the first time that Benevidez. I think this is the first time that maybe Benevidez's power didn't overwhelm a guy in a while. I feel like Benevidez has been able to overwhelm guys with his power for his last few fights at 168. Caleb Plant's a good example of that because Caleb Plant had success. That Demetrius Andrade fight. Demetrius Andrade had early success with his speed and with his movement, similar to kind of Caleb Plant. But then he was able to just overwhelm them with his power. Just kind of like Chop was saying, walking you down, high guard, smiling in your face, walking you down, and like, yeah, you can hit me with two because I'm going to hit you with one and you're going to feel this one. You know what I mean? Like just really overwhelming guys with his power. Andrade and Caleb Plant being good examples of that. And in this fight, I feel like it was the first time in a while that he just wasn't able to overwhelm an opponent with his power. But I do still think he dominated the fight. I do still think it was a good performance, but it wasn't an A performance. And I think he feels the same as well. I don't think he was as happy with his performance as he probably wanted to be, wasn't as dominant as he was. And especially when he had sparred that guy like 5 years ago, and him and the guy, Alexander came out and was like, nah, Dave Benny beat my ass in sparring like 5 years ago. And so hearing all those stories and the way they were talking, and just I'm a huge Benevidez fan. Benevidez is in my top 10 pound for pound. And he's been there for me for like 2 years. So and I know that was unpopular when I was talking like that, but I'm a huge David Benevidez fan for real, for sure. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's a top 10 pound for pound fighter. But I think he gassed a little bit, but I think it's just more of an adjustment. He moved up light heavyweight. Everybody's as big as him. You know what I mean? So he was a big super middleweight. Well, now he's not like Alexander was. Well, not like thicker built, but he's bigger. I think Alexander was like 6'3", and Benevidez is like 6'1". You know what I'm saying? And so they're both 175. With the other guy's 2 inches taller. You know what I mean? And I think he had a longer reach as well. So I think it was just that there's going to be an adjustment period. You know what I'm saying, for Benevidez at 175. But I'm not mad at the performance. I would say it was a B performance. It wasn't an A performance. But I think it was a quality B performance. And I think it was a good fight that he needed to introduce himself to the division, to kind of get a feel for, okay, or this is how guys can handle my power up here. Or okay, this is my conditioning now. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I need to recalibrate my conditioning now that I'm 175 instead of 168. So I'm carrying more weight into each round. You know, so all these things matter, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And so I just think I think he's still got to adjust a little bit, but I think he's going to be successful there. And so I think he, like, let's say if him and Bivol, I would favor, man, I don't know, that'd be a damn good fight. I would favor Benevidez over him and Bivol because I really like Benevidez. I like Bivol as well. He's also in my personal top 10 pound for pound. But I would cheer for Benevidez versus Bivol and Beterbiev. But I think either one of those matchups may be a little too much for him right now. I still want him to get another fight to continue to acclimate, and I want to see him a little sharper. I want to see his conditioning better, and I want to see him, find his power at the weight. I would want him to do that before he fought Bivol or Beterbiev, personally. But yeah, another thing too, man, we can't forget, like the guy he fought, wasn't a slouch. I think his only loss was to Beterbiev. Matter of fact, and he had a damn good showing against Beterbiev before Beterbiev power got to him. You know what I mean? So he's a quality guy. He had retired for a little bit. He retired for like a year or two, stepped away, but he wasn't a bum. I just want to say that he wasn't a bum. What Blitz got for me, he said Benevidez power seemed to have little no effect on the juice. It gives Pink Creature. Do you think Benevidez should go back to 168? And you know what, man? Benevidez, before this fight, because Benevidez has been chasing that Canelo fight for like 2 years now. And Canelo's running for Benevidez at 168. Period. I don't see how anybody could, with a straight face, really argue otherwise. Because the excuses he's made to not fight Benevidez, but then fighting the guys he's fought. Because if David Benevidez doesn't deserve a shot at that title, and mind you, Benevidez was the champ at 68. He was the WBC champ. He lost his belt from a drug suspension. He never lost in the ring. So he's a lineal WBC 68 champ. So any argument that Canelo has that he doesn't deserve it, or what he does, or he only wants money, and I need $200 million to fight him, you're running, bro. That's crazy. but you fight John Ryder. You know what I'm saying? Jaime Munguia. Don't fight John Ryder and Jaime Munguia, but then tell me David Benevidez doesn't deserve a fight unless they give you $200 million. You full of shit. You full of stuff. I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't take you seriously. So before this fight, David Benevidez said, I'm gung-ho, forget it. I'm going to 175. I'm going for the belts. After this fight, Benevidez reopened the door to go back to 68. So in the post-fight conference, he actually mentioned, like, yeah, you know, he's talked about competing at both 68 and 75 because he still wants that Canelo fight. You know what I mean? He still wants that fight, big money fight, and kind of like we were saying, you know, I think it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment that his power is not overwhelming at 75. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's going to be a little bit of an adjustment. I think he could settle into 75 and really, you know what I mean? Like really, once he decides to really settle in at that class, I think the power is still going to be there. And I still like his hand speed. He's got terrific hand speed still. But I think once he settles in the 75, he's going to be fine. But right now, I think that 68 still got to be open because Canelo's still there. And as long as that's still a possibility, I don't think you can fully turn your back on it. And so, whoo! Yeah, man. Hey, look here, man. We are, 2.5 hours in. I think I'm at the call it. It's about 9:30. 2.5 hours in. Man, this was great, man. I appreciate everybody that came through for sure. I wasn't sure. It's like I said, I hadn't been live again, y'all, since that Fury and Usyk fight. And then so I wasn't sure the turnout we were gonna get tonight, but man, definitely, man, happy and appreciative of everybody that showed up tonight for sure. And matter of fact, man, let's go ahead and run through everybody that came through and holler at your dog, man. Shout out to my dog, Kendall Gilliard, man, my dog Black. He said he was the first one in the door today. And he was, man. So shout out to my dog Black, man. You know I appreciate you as always. Who else is in this thing, man? Black got us started. He dove right into AFC North football talk, man. The first hour of this show was football on accident. My dog D-Dot came through, man, and hollered at me. Appreciate you. Isaiah came through and hollered. We appreciate you as well. Man, who else is in this thing? I know the fam band was in there. I seen my sister in here. My mom came through. Appreciate y'all as always. My dog Derek came in as well. Appreciate you, homeboy. Man, my dog, man, my brother Chop came in the building as always, man. OJ, Oscar Jawan, man, appreciate you, big dog. Appreciate y'all, man. Then, of course, man, Paul Anthony in the building, man. Blitz Tactique, man. What's going on, man? Appreciate you. Glad to have you. I know you say you subscribe to join, you know what I'm saying, enjoy the fam today. Hey, appreciate you, big dog. Tap in with me, man. Let me see, man. I'm trying to look for all y'all. Hey, Mike Golden came by. Mike Golden, man. Appreciate you as well, homeboy. As well, man. I'm looking for everybody, man. I want to shout everybody out that came through. Brooklyn boy, man. What's going on? Appreciate you, homeboy. For sure, man. Appreciate everybody that came through. I'm looking. And look. Oh, hold on. Wait. One more. This is going to be the one to this is going to be the one to take us out the building. It's a good one, though. I see Canelo and Benevidez, so we'll end on this. So we got Canelo and Benevidez to fight to make it 68. Yeah, no doubt. For like the last 2-3 years, for sure. Canelo the Spaniard colonizer. Man, hold on, man. He's Mexican. He's Mexican. Well, he's Mexican and I'm assuming Mexican and white. I don't know, man. He's albino. I don't know, but I don't think he's not Spanish. His pops is Mexican. Well, his pops is supposed to be. I don't know, man. I ain't gonna talk about that man's lineage like that, but he's Mexican though. But he's been ducking Benevidez for years. That's fair. Now, here's the thing as well, though. Don't forget, Benevidez is he's Mexican and Panamanian, I believe. I think either his dad's Mexican and his mom's from Panama, or maybe his mom's Mexican and his dad's from Panama. But no, that's the Mexican monster for sure, man. I think Canelo's definitely been ducking that fight. I think eventually that fight's gonna happen. I think Benevidez said it. I think Benevidez said it in one of his recent interviews. I don't know if it was on ESPN First Take with Stephen A. Smith, or I saw him do a Gillian Wallow interview. But I know he said that he thinks that Canelo is going to use him as his exit plan from boxing. And so he's going to put him off until, use that as his going away fight and look to clean up, $100 million to retire, 150. I don't know if he's going to get that. I don't think he's going to get that 150 or 200 million like he's been saying from Turkey Al-Sheikh, the guy in the Middle East who's been, had a big hand in these boxing matches here of late. I don't think he's going to get that 150, 200. 100 might, but 100? it might not be out of realm of possibility, man. It might not. I think the world wants that fight bad enough, and so I think eventually it very well may happen. But nah, to be determined, man. To be seen for sure. One more time, and my dog Bliss said, one of his favorite creators. Hey, appreciate you, homie. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Said wish nothing but the best. Hey, man, I appreciate that for sure, man. Until next time, man, y'all subscribe. Don't forget, man, y'all hit that bell, man. Get notified the next time your boy go live. I'm going to get more active here, man. We got a lot of good fights coming up. And so I think the next probably big fight, that Bud Crawford fight, Israel Madronov, the opponent, a lot of people won't know the opponent, but he's a quality guy. But definitely seeing Bud get back in the ring. Can't wait for that one. There's a couple other ancillary fights coming up between now and then, but Gonna definitely keep the boxing content coming. Also, a huge football fan. It's a little bit of a down period now in the off season for the NFL, but I'll have plenty of football content coming up as well. So y'all be sure to tap in, man. And as always, appreciate y'all. Till next time, peace. Oh no, wait! I keep forgetting. My bad, y'all. I got outro music now. Yeah, y'all be smooth and listen to my outro on the way out, man. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Peace.